but only what he's heard about me on the radio, my lavish life, and the buttermilk bath. Buttermilk is better. Welcome everyone. I have Mark Harris of the Brain today. We have I look. I got inundated with emails and comments every part of social media trying to have G Canada back as often as possible. Hey, let him host the show by himself. You know him, you love him. G Man, welcome, sir.
Afternoon, Arm. Thanks for having me back.
Of course, you're a friend, a great friend, not a good friend, a great friend, and propped me up at my darkest day and lowest, the downward spiral. No 9 inch nails, no 9 inch nails. Quotes there. G, welcome, sir.
Buddy, you've done so much to give everybody so much entertainment over the years. I could anything I can do to help you is more than my privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I say this to Sarah all the time. We are so privileged to have you and everyone in this chat in our midst. Make no mistake, and your NRA, for lack of a better word, prowess is top notch, prophetic, saying things that you didn't even watch in the trial that were said, and which is kind of amazing. Like the gun experts, exactly what you said, and they're quote unquote experts. I don't want to ask how long. How long have you been shooting, and what's the gun licensing rule in Canada?
Gun licensing rules in Canada are completely different than what they are in the United States. Nobody in Canada, I'm talking even an off-duty policeman, is allowed to carry a gun, in their personal time. So if you're a cop, you bring your gun home with you at night, but you don't carry it when you go to the store or whatever, which I think is kind of ridiculous because if there's a policeman off duty and I'm at the store and it's being robbed, I want that guy to protect me or
True.
woman, and that's not the way it goes. So nobody can carry a gun in Canada. Now our laws have recently changed because we have an extremely left-wing prime minister right now who's seeming to be going after legal gun owners, which in Canada are the most least likely, if you want to call it, they're the least likely to ever commit a crime. And that's a statistic fact because the licensing requirements in Canada are so stringent that anybody with a criminal record at all cannot get one. Anybody with any mental, you know, problems in their history most likely can't get one. There,
That rules me out. I'm out. I'm out.
and
I'm
well,
gleefully out. That's fine. I'm out.
but it's also that so if you have a gun license in Canada, okay, a restricted license, which is for handguns, which you can't even buy anymore. But anyway, if you're grandfathered in, your license is checked every day by the RCMP, which is our FBI, if you want to call it that. And if
Hey, by
you've
the way, G, welcome to the RCMP family.
dude, I love that thing that you play at the end. It makes me howl every single time that they're
Oh,
in
that's
Canada.
Jack Depp. That's Jack Depp in Yoga Hosers.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's Johnny Depp's son, Jack. I think he's like, God, he must be 12 there in Yoga
I
Hosers.
didn't even know that. I
Yeah,
didn't know where it came
the
from
whole
or
movie,
whatever.
you should watch this. The whole movie, set and shot in Canada. Kevin Smith directed it. Johnny Depp's daughter Lily Rose is best friends with Kevin Smith's daughter Harley Quinn, named after the DC Comics character who's created for Batman the animated series, and they both star in the movie. It's actually a sequel to Tusk, and then Depp plays a Canadian private investigator named Guy Lapointe, who's somewhat named after the hockey player. He's
It
really funny.
sounds
It's
funny. It
really funny
actually
in that. He's really good in that. You'd love this.
I always wondered where you got that thing from. I had no idea. I thought
Yep,
somebody just did
that's
it,
Yoga
on the
Hosers.
internet. Yeah,
And when they're singing the Canadian national anthem at the end, that is Depp playing that's the best guitar. That's how he should look on stage. See the way he's got it propped up like at his chin? No, seriously, that's what you're supposed to do. Deliver that shit. And then Lily Rose, who actually is an excellent singer after her mom, and Harley Quinn are singing the Canadian national anthem.
You think Lily
Swear to God.
Rose is an excellent singer? Have you
She
heard
is.
her
She
sing much
actually is a
or what?
really good. I mean, she's a nepo baby, and she grew up with all the opportunity to sit at home and practice singing all day.
I
So
guess you got a
you
point
get
there. And her mother
she's
was a singer, right?
yes, she's actually big in Canada, Montreal.
If
Vanessa
you say so.
Paradis.
Have you ever been to Montreal, Arm?
I have not, and I've heard nothing but great things. I had a
Oh,
next door neighbor, Pete Savante, was like he's like a real life Bugs Bunny mischief. He's just most fun. I feel privileged to have shared a childhood with him next door. He's about 3 years older than me, and his they went to Montreal on a school field trip, and the class was so bad, mischief wise and getting drunk, they canceled the trip for the rest of us. So the years after that, they canceled the trip, and he's never had more fun in his life. The WWF had a card in the same hotel they were staying at, and Coco Beware was drunk passed out on a couch, and Butch Reed and I only mentioned black wrestlers. Um, but that's the lasting impression I have of Canada and Montreal.
it was the first place I ever bought a case of beer, and I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, and nobody even cared. I mean, this was a long time ago, but still, nobody cared. And I've been, all over Canada, the United States, and parts of Europe. I have never, although admittedly, I've never been to LA. Okay, but I've never seen more beautiful women in a
That's what
city
I heard. Yeah.
before than
Yep.
Montreal. They're just gorgeous,
And cool,
gorgeous women
and cool. I have a cool
everywhere.
factor, and they're cool. They actually don't have the American kind of materialistic kind of "see you next Tuesday"
Well,
mentality,
yeah,
so I hear.
because the men there are so I don't know, obnoxious.
I hate
So
men.
they are really obnoxious with the women. So if you walk up and you're cool with them and you're not being, a turd, then they're great. Yeah, it's just unbelievable how many pretty girls are in Montreal. It's a
They
great
wa
place.
they walk to their own drummer, as they say, and I wanna say thank you to A. Smith. I hope all you Baldwinos are having a great, how do you say, week. Thank you, A. Smith, for your dono before, and the great, where is she? I just saw her on the, yeah. Oh, thank you, Sunflower Dragon. I was the only person who said I don't have G Canada back. I was overruled. Hello, gentlemen. Well, thank you, Sunflower Dragon. No, G Canada has he's such a ball buster. He has accrued a cabal of haters, and he just jousts with them online, as Alan Thicke would say. Joust, a boat. He jousts,
Yeah,
and
a cabal.
quite good at it.
A cabal.
Cabal.
I have a good time with it, man. I mean, you can't take it seriously when,
We have a good time on here, right, G? We have a really good
absolutely.
time. Speaking of good times, I have a brand. I sound like I'm Martha Ray. I have a brandy, and because it goes with the Pepsi Max Cherry over ice right now in a
That
50-ounce glass.
that sounds absolutely disgusting.
It's good though. It's good. I don't
Brandy?
overdo it with the alcohol. I can put like a shot, and then the Pepsi Max will be like 30 ounces. So it's distilled down, it's kind of, but it's a great little buzz. That's part of my drinking coach plan.
What's
That
Pepsi
ki-
Max? I don't
It
know what
is
that is.
a Pepsi, it's an energy Pepsi soda.
Okay.
It's got a jolt of caffeine. It's almost like, remember the old Jolt Cola?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, sort of like that.
I
Uh,
don't drink any pop. Like I have some ginger ales once in a while. That's about it. So I'm not really into it.
that makes one of us. It's all the food groups. It's all the food groups. It's all the vitamins. That and a Costco hot dog, and you're pretty much set for the week in terms of vitamins and all the different nutritional. It's a walking nutritional table. Pepsi Max and Costco hot dogs. Kathy Scott, thank you again for sitting in on that 5.5. I want to thank everyone. Our 21 Arm Street, season 2, episode 20, the best years of your life, the AKA the Brad Pitt episode. I'm very proud of my work on this. I spent. This is why you all should subscribe. You're not a Depp fan. If you don't subscribe to the Patreon, you're not a Depp fan. You don't take it seriously. You are a poser, a charlatan, somebody who latched on to the trial because of you hate Amber Heard and you don't know anything. If you don't subscribe to our Patreon, you're not a fan. You certainly not a fan of Jump Street. 5.5 hours. I don't even want to tabulate the hours all told with all the episodes, but it took me personally probably 20 plus hours to do all that. Um, just putting it together, thinking about it, finding shit, recording stuff in the episode. I'm I, forget money aside and capitalism. I'm just very proud of that. I've been waiting for a long time, and it shows. All this shit was in my head and exploded, and it's 5.5 hours, and I don't care. You're gonna listen to it. You're gonna drive from. Kathy Scott didn't know the name of her own cousin in California, so she's gonna go and try to figure out what her cousin's name. But thank you, Kathy, for sitting in, and Black Morticia Adams' debut, who is excellent, precocious Nubian queen, like she's the black female David in a way. If you get a
The
chance to look,
the black female David? No, that's
yes.
very interesting. You're gonna have to give that a listen for sure. I just haven't had any time.
Here's Frank the Tank. I want to say I love how Canadian this chat is. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Frank knows some things about firearms also.
Hey Frank,
So
if you want to come on, I mean I'll send you some shit now if you want. I don't know if you're available. I know you are in the legal field. It might be too. If you put your email in there, I might be able to throw you something now. I hate multitasking when I do this. Thank you, David C. Good to see you again, David C. It's been a while. Oh my God. Thank you, David C. Um,
And man,
uh,
5.5 hours is tremendous. That's what I always said about you. Like when you sucked me in during that stupid trial and I couldn't stop listening, I couldn't believe that somebody could come on by themselves every single day and be that eloquent, speak that long, have something interesting to say. I mean, you talk about, I used to listen to, when they would talk about sportscasters and, dead air. They never wanted to have dead air, that sort of thing. And what made a good sportscaster, because when I was a kid, probably like you, I was always sneaking my radio into my bed at night so I could listen to whatever, especially when the Blue Jays played on the West Coast. You get a 10 o'clock game in the middle of summer on your radio, something like that, and you really
by the way, the
appreciate.
first time you and I ever bonded, you knew that I was a fan of Jimmy Key, my favorite left-handed pitcher,
Ah,
one of my top. No, seriously,
I
I'm
remember
like
that.
him. And
Yeah, I remember
he
that.
that guy. Everyone, if you're not a baseball nerd, in late '80s, early '90s, this guy. Now you back me up on this, G. 240 innings, he'd have like 11 walks in a full season.
He was a
Like,
control guy.
oh
Like,
man, he's like lefty Greg Maddux in a way.
I was just gonna say he's just
Yep.
like Greg Maddux, and everything Greg, and never powerful either. I don't think
I
either
don't
one
even
of
think he
them.
threw 90. I don't even
I
think he
was
hit 90.
took the words right out of my mouth, and everything came out of their hand straight down the tube,
Yep.
and it looked like it was going to be dead center, and none of it ever ended up in the strike zone. It
A-
dropped, it fell, it went left, it went right, it fell out of the strike zone every time he threw a pitch,
As
just like
someone
Greg
who's
Maddux.
umpired, G, as someone who's umpired, and I've heard this from Major League Baseball umpires, and I'm not even I never even get past high school when I was umpiring. But they said that the two favorite pitchers amongst umpires in a private poll was Maddox and not Angelina Jolie's son and Jimmy Key, because their games would be 2 hours and 10 minutes as opposed to what could be 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah,
Because they're so it was just boom, boom, strike, 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 out, 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 out. This like efficient kind of thing. The count's never deep. There's never like, and that's and then they throw so controlled that the umpire doesn't feel threatened. By like a Randy Johnson high fastball at like
yeah.
99 coming at your head.
Catching it in the face, and
Yeah, yeah, it's
everything
boring.
was ground balls, right?
Yep, ground
Every
balls.
time
Yep,
they hit something, they drove it right into the dirt in front of the plate, and somebody
yep.
threw them out.
And
Yeah,
umpires
both.
love them because their job's easier. If you were umpiring, wouldn't you want the game to be 2 hours instead of four in this,
Oh, absolutely.
July, and wearing all that black shit? Screw that.
I actually finally,
Screw you.
I actually finally got a reprieve here. It's a little bit cooler today, but on the last day of summer, it was 109 degrees here with the humidity,
Oh my
which is
God.
just insane. Oh, sorry, not last day of summer, last day of spring. So it's been really terrible here,
Thank
just
you for the
dripping wet.
compliment, by the way. Depp is my ballywick. I've been following this since the late 80s, right? So all this information, if anything, I can speak sort of effortlessly without is this. It's this.
Like,
It was just
you speak effortlessly on everything, but what people don't understand is the amount of what you put into it. How many hours, like the countless hours of research and pulling clips and all that sort of thing that goes into doing something like this. It's not like you just walk on. You have to actually work at it for hours
If you
before you
care,
come on
if you
and do it.
care, if you
Of
care. I
course.
mean, if you have right, if you care about what you're doing, and which I do. I mean, like I don't. There's no mailing it in, and it's OCD, and I could easily, not do it. But the last Dep Street was Arm Street. It's was yeah, 20 something hours of personal prep for the whole thing, and I couldn't be more proud. Frank the Tank, Arm and Sarah should Brandon Lee's death on the set of Crow plays into the alley. Yes, it will, and they are going to use that. Thank you, Frank. Not be. I have a lot of Alex stuff here. I got a lot of little funny surprises. I don't know. G Canada said he's only going to be on for like an hour plus. We'll see what happens with that. I don't trust it. I think as he gets going, he's just going to go, screw it. I'm not going on. Autobot, welcome, sir. Isabel, welcome. I saw that your Orioles are 2 games out of first place. Let's go. Let's go O's. G Canada loves the O's. G Canada hates your area because he lost his Expos to Washington, and he hates that.
I can still remember being a kid and my dad taking me to a game, and this is pretty funny. I it was so many years ago. I was really young. I can still remember they were cutting the grass. We walked through the botanical gardens, which was right behind the stadium, and they were cutting the grass there. I can still remember the smell of it. I might have been 8 or
Mm-hmm.
9 or something like that, and it was a midweek game. A getaway game, so it was like 1 o'clock on a Wednesday or something.
Oh
Nobody was
wow,
there. The stadium was empty and it was
that's
hat
so
day. We
cool.
got these old fashioned rimmed hats. Okay. We each got one. And I, 40 years later, I gave it to my dad for Father's Day. I said, I've been keeping
That's
this the whole
really
time.
cool, and that's a very thoughtful gift.
Well, it would have been, except he didn't remember.
Oh yeah, he has Alzheimer's.
No, he just didn't remember. He
Oh
was
shit, I
probably
thought he
having
had
a few
dementia.
beers. No, no, no. He was just having a few beers or whatever that day. Probably more than a few, right? It was his holiday. We were on vacation in Montreal. My mom and my sister were doing whatever with my cousins, and yeah, he just didn't remember. He just didn't remember it at all. Like it was no big deal to him, but
That's
it was
crazy.
such a huge deal to me that I can't even forget the smell of the grass being cut that day.
I would like to yell at your father for not remembering that because I would think that
Oh,
was a seminal moment in the bonding of a father and son. How do you forget a day game like that
you
on
should have
Happy?
seen the look on my mom's face. She
Oh,
was
that's ridiculous.
pissed.
That's reductive almost. He should be remembering that. That's not a little thing.
You know what though? My parents were great parents. They
I
did
believe it.
so much with me when I was a kid that one day I can see them not remembering. My dad did everything with me.
Yeah.
They took me everywhere. They were always at my sporting events. It didn't matter what it was. They were always there and they're still there for me now. Like I've been super lucky when it comes to that. I can't even, I can't express how great of parents I had growing up.
I love that you're a Canadian NBA fan, which is kind of weird because they didn't have a team when you were growing up. So you actually like sought it out, even though you're very close to like Cleveland and Detroit. But you sought it out. And I always find, and I think you'll back me up on this, usually, almost always, we have to talk about race all the time. When your favorite sport is the NBA, usually it goes from black to white. So your least favorite sport is hockey. So it goes NBA, NFL, baseball, hockey. And in reverse, if you're a white guy, your favorite sport is hockey. The NBA is almost always their least favorite sport. It's always that rotation.
I grew up playing basketball. Like I think probably 8 or 9 I was playing organized basketball and local league. It's actually very popular where I am from anyway. But I'm from, GTA, right? Greater
Right.
Toronto area.
Grand Theft Auto.
So maybe it was always more popular here, but you're right. It wasn't that big. I mean, we had one player. Now we've got how many 30
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Can I
players
can I
in the
guess the
NBA?
player? Can I guess the player? Bill
SGA?
Wennington. Bill
Oh,
Wennington.
yeah. Bill Wennington, Big Bill. But I'm talking about now. We have 30
Oh, okay, okay.
players or so in the NBA. And that's more than any other country besides the USA has ever had. And
Certifiable all stars.
and maybe the best player coming up
Yeah, sir.
now is
Yes.
SGA, right? Who is better than SGA? And he's only what, 24, 25?
I don't think. Yeah, I think he's 20. Yeah, about 24. Yeah. Yes.
But this what happened was Vince Carter started it, and then all the kids wanted to play basketball, and you're seeing that now. All the kids that were young living in Toronto and all over Canada, when Vinsanity, Air Canada, they called them, all this stuff, and then basketball blew up in Canada big time after
Tracy
Vince Carter.
McGrady.
Yeah. It went nuts after that, and now you're seeing the fruits of that, if you want to call it that. We might beat you guys in the Olympics. I'm telling you. Look at
I'm
the
rooting
team
for
that
I
we're
hope you
putting
do.
out
I hope
with
you do. We
Jamal
need to be
Murray,
humble.
SGA,
Yep.
and we got that little jerk that plays all the
Andrew
defense, Dylan
Wiggins.
Wigan, so you're gonna see it. It might, and Zach Edey, I'm telling you right now, he is in the mold of Jokic when you look at his
Okay.
game.
Yeah,
And
that's a big stretch, but we'll see what happens.
I thought he was gonna go higher. He's gonna be guys who passed on him in the draft are gonna be kicking themselves for not
I'm rooting
taking
for
him.
Canada. I want Canada to win. I really do. They need to be humbled. The U.S. needs to be humbled. Let me get through this chat here a little bit. For
Sure.
Little Dephead, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm still waiting for that call, Gilbert. Waiting for that call. You're gonna sit in soon. And by the way, G Canada, your parents raised a great son. That's for sure. I cannot see how Alec will do prison time. We'll see about that, Frank. We'll see about that. Some of the blank casing is discharged from the gun, killed Brandon Lee, so slightly different fact pattern. If Hannah Gutierrez goes to jail, I don't know how Alec doesn't. I don't, especially when the judge is very in on contrition and Alec is backed away from it. And the husband of Halyna Hutchins is livid because he was in the beginning. He's like, I'll do anything I can for you and the family. I'll do it. And now he's backing away because he sees the walls come, and his ego will not allow him to be in a constant state of contrition. It looks decent, but I refuse to give you money. Let me go through this. Kathy Scott, Frank the Sky. Thanks again, A. Smith, David C, and A. Smith, David C, and Sunflower Dragon. Let me play this just for Sarah's gonna kill me if I don't. She's not in there yet. I haven't seen Sarah in there yet. By the way,
Yeah,
if you
she's in there. I've seen her comment.
oh, she is in there.
Yep.
If Shaka Khan, if you hear this, I saw a comment from you. You are more than welcome. You are more than welcome to sit in on this next time we do it. I actually thought to send you, and I didn't have your email, but I would love if you would, if you're free, to sit in, even if it's just an hour. We'd love to hear from you in long form. So this is our plugs.
Dearest, Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo or the QR code or the Super Chats or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
So please hit like and subscribe. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. JJ Thrash is I'm finally here. He's not always here on time. How does that Ja Rule lyric goes? I'm not always there when you call, but I'm always on time, says JJ Thrash. Thank you, JJ. There's a little death pet, Alec Baldwin. That's right. 12 point. Thank you. 12 point. G Canada is a dream, in fact. I got to make a Mike Jaminski drop for him of like Bill Rafter going, the G Man at some point. I know I have like an audio of that. I got to find it. Thank you again, the Sunflower Dragon. Babs DeRush, good to see you. Kyle Sierra Alpha, Autobot. I try to say hi to everybody because it's so. I cannot feel more privilege anyone chooses to spend their time with me. All the copious options we have, almost spoiling, ridiculous options we have. You can't get arrested for hate speech up north. Says Sarah. There's the Sarah man. So intimidating. You got to deal with. You got to see her behind the scenes. How intimidating she is. It's fucking ridiculous. It is
I'm
ridiculous.
scared shitless of
Oh,
Sarah,
it
and
is.
I haven't
Everybody
even met her.
is.
Yeah.
Everybody is. I mean,
I
I
bet you
think.
she's got that gaze, and when she looks at you,
Yes.
you just
Yep.
crap yourself. You're like, oh god, I better do something quick. I'm gonna be in
Yep.
trouble, right?
And the deadpan, right? The non-plus
Yeah.
deadpan.
I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
God, Sarah, that gives me chills every time you do that. Every time. The strippers in St. Catharines Street are stupidly hot. Stupidly
Yeah.
hot. Am I right?
Yeah,
You
it's
can.
ridiculous. Oh yeah. But I do want to say too, like the people in the chat are awesome. I've been talking with these people. I obviously have never met any of them, but I've been talking with these people, a lot of them for years now,
Yep.
and they are funny, intelligent people who just want to have a good time. And I
Yeah.
like to say thank you to all of them because they're all great.
Sounds like my kind of state. Here in New Jersey, this is 12 point. You get in trouble if you fire a warning shot at a dude who's stealing your car. Wow, that's
Well, you
crazy. I
can't.
didn't know
I
that.
I don't agree with that. Like if somebody's stealing your car, it's not worth a life, right? You cannot shoot somebody in the back when they're running away. You can't shoot somebody over. I mean, if they're coming into your house, if you're in the car and they're trying to take it from you with violence, then yeah, you're deserved to shoot them. Go ahead. But if they're just stealing something out of your driveway, it's not worth a life.
How
It's
how
not
much
worth a life.
how much experience you think Alec Baldwin has with guns, anyway?
Uh,
And that,
enough to know better.
I mean, his life has nothing to do with firearms.
How many
Remember the
movies?
remember the
How many?
Plaxico Burress thing in New York when he
Uh,
dropped the gun, he brought a gun into and got like 2 years.
yeah.
Why would he get 2 years and Alex not going to get shit? And
He
he
is
killed
though.
someone?
That's what I'm telling you. The
I know.
guy,
I think so too. I do
I
too.
think I said, what did I say? 4 to 6 years, I believe, is what I'm
That's
going
the
for,
max. I think. Yeah, I think 4 is the maximum
and
sentence.
that's probably involuntary manslaughter. So he'll do a year and a half or so, and he'll get out. But he is going to do time. I don't see any way around it, and he can blame it up. He can blame it on whoever he wants, but I do not see any way around him getting time. He squeezed the trigger. He
I got
squeezed the
something.
trigger.
I got something you can squeeze, pal. Lauren Marie, welcome. God damn it. Good to see you, Lauren. Finally got you back. Everyone. I mean, everyone. Everyone's asking about you, especially David. My husband rode a bicycle last summer from our home near Saratoga to Montreal. I picked him up there with his truck. It took him 4 days. He camped each night. Montreal is a beautiful city. If Lauren signs off on it, you know, I think she's close there too. I think Lauren's like deep upstate. I think she's literally, I don't know, what would you say, that 45 minutes away?
Well,
Gee,
if her husband is riding his bike there in 4 days, yeah, they're living pretty close to the border for sure.
thanks again, David. See, Tamara Francois. Freaking Fran, Tam Fran. I hope she sticks around. She kind of dips in and out. Very, very great broad, great Nubian broad, but a busy broad. So if we get any Tam Fran, we're lucky. There's the Shaka Khan. I said yes, so I was right. She was in there. You got my Shaka Khan. I've been thinking about you and Dustin Gwen like all week. So everybody knows. Everyone knows. Shaka Khan shared a classroom with Dustin Gwen, aka Aoki from 21 Jump Street. I think about this all the time in the infancy stages of her acting career. How great would it be if she leaned? This is that he had already done Jump Street. He'd already, so she knew who he was. How great would it be if she sat next to him and leaned in and said, "Psst, you're undercover, right? You're undercover in this, right?" And then we do that and they laugh. How great would that be, Jay, right? She makes a Jump Street joke to him in an actual classroom. And we laughed.
You are obsessed, my friend.
And then she makes an Asian joke. No background check, no permit, no registration.
You can bring anything in this world back to Depp if you really try. You can connect him to the hemorrhoids I got when I
I'll
was
do it right
40.
now. Frank
Yeah,
was the name of Depp in The Tourist with
there
Andrew.
you go.
Put Frank the Tank on. Oh, that is it is the most. If you ever watch The Tourist, it is the most mailed in cash grab excuse to get those two in a movie you've ever fucking seen. It is the laziest acting I've ever seen Depp do outside of maybe Transcendence.
Do
To
you
say
have
he's
an eidetic?
sleepwalking, what?
Do you have an eidetic memory? Like, how do you remember all this stuff? Are you one of those people that remembers every second of every
How do you
day,
remember the gun
everything?
laws? How do you remember all the gun laws?
No, but
That's
you
what I'm
have
saying.
way more information rattling around in your head than 10 people.
Because I'm always up in my head. I don't have any kids. I don't have the distractions that I have the time to glean this stuff and to fixate on all my favorite hobbies and things. I think
Okay.
is what happens. And I have OCD and I'm into the E word. You know, I say this all the time. As someone who suffers from major clinical depression and I'm into escapism. I need to escape all the time, every time. Real life is very depressing to me when I dwell on it too much. So I
Yeah,
love escapism.
and you shouldn't dwell on it all the time, but I'm just saying your memory is unbelievable. It's so vast.
Thank you.
It impresses the hell out of me all the time. The
It can
things
be a
that you can
curse,
pull up.
though. The
Oh,
OCD can give you migraines like I got yesterday and destroyed my whole day. I was good for about 3 hours, and I just couldn't. I had this pulsating, it's like Professor X was contacting me, and I just couldn't answer him. And just cut right through my brain, and I just it destroyed my day, G. All the about 1 in the afternoon, shut down, couldn't do another thing. And people
that's
don't
terrible,
believe
man.
it. People go,
I believe you.
you're faking it." I
No,
dare you to take a brain scan on me.
I grew up with a girl, and my family was close with her family, and I watched her go through exactly what you're talking about. As a young teenager, middle teens, and that she started getting, and it was horrible. I felt so bad for her, and I had been there a few times when they had come on for her, and it was just awful. So I feel for you, buddy. It's
Thank you,
terrible.
Jay. Frank the Tank actually grew up. I love. I think Calgary is like the most underrated city in Canada. I remember loving. You remember the Atlanta Flames moved to Calgary
I
in the
do.
NHL? Yeah, it was great. People forget that Atlanta had a hockey team at one point.
Calgary is the place I fly into when I want to go to East BC. That's about
Yes,
it. I don't stay in Calgary. I don't hang out in Calgary. It's a hillbilly town. I don't want anything to do with Calgary. And a friend of mine lives there. I bug him all the time. But like if I'm going to Golden, BC or something like that, sure, I'll fly into Calgary. But that's about it. I'll rent a car there and I'll leave. I don't spend any more than 5 minutes in Calgary.
I'm sorry to you. I mean, from you to Frank the Tank to Sunflower Dragon to Gina Bobina to there's so many Canadians. I'm forgetting someone important, and I don't want to be forgetting anyone. Tamara Francois from Toronto originally. It's
I
crazy.
believe so. Yep.
It's crazy.
There's a
It's
lot of
something
us in here,
going on
actually.
there. It's something going. I did the business, Liz Cheney. I did the business. What the hell was I gonna say? Lamborghini, moron. Buy a Lamborghini and comment. Alec Baldwin probably wants to go to jail, get away from that craze. That's funny, Babs.
Oh, nice one.
That's funny as hell.
Way to go, Barbara.
Holy shit.
How
That's
many
so
kids
fun.
does she have now? Is it like
Is it
1,800 or
7?
something?
I think it's
And
a
they keep
total of
having them, right? And
a
I
brood.
remember seeing a picture of him in the post, and he's like 90 years old pushing around this little baby in a cart. He looked so old, it wasn't even funny. It should have been his grandkid or his great grandkid. This is nuts.
I see this Latino Spitfire in front of me, and I can't stop having sex with her. And no, condom. In fact, the Baldwin blood we can get it. And she told me I have to ride bareback. Oh, she's at work. David C. Depends on if the judge is Alec's mortal enemy and sympathizer. Those SNL skits are going to bite him in the ass. It is. Well, I don't know if you watch the original trial, David C. But they've already kind of eviscerated his hubris, and Ms. Morrissey, the lawyer, the prosecutor from New Mexico, is really, really like threatened him, like looked at the camera and threatened him, and she is obsessed with putting him down and not getting celebrity privilege. Thank you, Sunflower. As are you. And she is very hell bent and about not getting celebrity privilege, winning the day. And that alcohol and caffeine are huge. Frank, I thought that caffeine stops my headaches. In my case, if I don't have caffeine, I get major migraines.
That's
But
called
everyone's different.
withdrawal.
Yeah, you're right. You're
It's
right.
withdrawal. When you're taking large amounts of caffeine every day and you stop, it's like any other drug. You're going to have withdrawal. And if you're prone to headaches already and migraines, then it's probably going to trigger it.
Sunflower says, I used to have to go to the hospital for my migraines. It's the absolute worst. Um, that my sister had gone to the hospital and had to get specialized medication for it. I've never. I think I'm bad. Certainly, I think it's genetic too, and hereditary in my family. She buried her head in a pillow on a holiday, a major holiday, and I'll never forget it. And loves to host things, and she could not function and interact with the family when we were there. She just buried her head into a pillow and went to the hospital the next day.
That's so
It was
sad.
it was crazy,
Is there
and she
anybody
does.
else in your family has it too, or is it just the two of
My
you?
nephew has it, Stephen, her son, my godchild. I have it. My sister has it. My father, I believe, had it. So that's
Wow. So it is hereditary for
it
sure.
is hereditary. Fine Chug he says migraines are hereditary. Well, welcome Fine Chug, by the way. One of the great fathers in our midst. It's always touching looking at his Instagram, how much he loves his family. Not enough good dads, and he's one of them. So it's always great to see. You're probably sick of it, G, right? Parents complaining about their kids all the time. It's like, why did you even have kids?
I
Why did
just
you even
tune out.
have them?
My
Tune out, right?
sister's my nephew's 18 now. Believe me, my sister's complaining all the time. She's going absolutely nuts with him. She's sending him to Europe for 6 weeks in the summer just to get him out of the house. Can't stand him.
Let me welcome in now. This guy, it takes so much to get him to talk about himself, but I don't know. Maybe we could eke out a word or two about his life and himself. Here's Johnny Meyer with his Tigers hat. I love the Tom Selleck. By the way, speaking of Depp wore that exact hat season 3, episode 6 when they were on strike, when the Jump Street team were on strike. So he and his district attorney girlfriend, Jackie Garrett, aka Yvette Yapar, Depp had a fitted Detroit Tigers hat when they were having dinner to get lunch at a diner, and he poured his own coffee because Depp loves coffee and he couldn't wait. Welcome, Johnny Meyer.
Thank you. This is fitted too.
What's the head size?
7 3/8.
Oh wow, that's fine, but not on my head.
G Canada, how are you doing?
Good,
Hey, buddy.
good to see you again, Johnny.
And
Thank
see
you
what
for
I was
responding
talking-
Thank you for responding on such short notice. I know you don't want to be on camera often, but you could click the thing and
Shy.
and
Arm can direct anything back to Depp, just like I said. Now he's talking about a hat that somebody wore.
I know.
And pouring. Oh, but of course he poured his own coffee. Like I'm telling you, man, there's so much information in that brain. It's unbelievable.
Sarah and I had a huge argument. Sarah's intimidating, right, Johnny?
She's got a very dry sense of humor, and I have a very upbeat, energetic, and they might clash, but I've never had a problem with her. I'm not.
Johnny, will you sit in with us when we do the Baldwin trial here and there?
I told you I would. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good. I mean, you and Shaka Khan know the industry, and it's no joke. Like, I think you know the industry better than a major like A-list actor would, because you've seen it at all levels, and you're just constantly you're auditioning. You're on set. You see the A to Z instead of getting grandfathered in. Like, when's the last time you think Depp's auditioned? 85.
He doesn't audition anymore.
No, well, I'm saying,
yeah,
like,
80.
when's the last? Yeah, 85.
Yeah.
I would love to ask him that. I think the last time he actually auditioned, I might even say Platoon, which came out in '86. I'm not going anywhere
part
past
of being
it.
A-list. You don't.
Yeah,
You don't audition if you're A-list. You just don't.
Certainly not after Jump Street. As soon as he got Tracy Jacobs, no more auditions. No way.
To bring it back to Alec, when he first started doing interviews, he did an interview and said that the gun went off by itself, and I'm like, what? Are you really going with that? And then months years later, they're like, no, we've analyzed the weapon, and it doesn't go off by it fucking self. Okay, so that's a weak. Very weak.
Well, we got footage of him, and I don't know why anyone does. I have this, and it's been out there, but no one looked at it. He had a deposition right after the damn shooting. So Halyna Hutchins had not been pronounced dead yet. She was taken to the hospital. So he and Hannah Gutierrez are both interviewed by the New Mexico cops. Halyna Hutchins had not been pronounced dead yet, and so they're like cavalier almost in the thing, and they're expecting it to be just an accident. And I think he gets the news during his deposition that she's died. And you see it in
was it a deposition or interrogation, or like
both?
Was it interrogation or deposition?
More of an yeah, I would say interrogation is probably the proper word. So after the shooting, they took them for questioning at the New Mexico police station. All parties.
Yeah,
involved.
I saw that.
Yep. A lot of people didn't watch it, and I still have just been like meandering through because I was waiting to watch it for this in real time, and I think most people haven't seen it. He's like wearing he's just wearing a t-shirt, and he's actually in pretty damn good spirits, and considering what's about to happen, and it's gonna probably, I don't know if they use that against him, and I think he does his best acting since outside Providence, when he gets the news that she passes away right in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing I was going to do this, Mark Harris contacted me and sent me this on voicemail. I think I'll play this.
Didn't he pass away?
No, he did not pass. No, he did not pass away. How dare you?
I thought he did. I thought he did.
What the hell is it? Don't tell me I didn't pull it over. Please don't tell me. Holy shit. Anyway, let me play this again while I look for it.
Dearest Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo, or the QR code, or the Super Chats, or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
He's very sincere about that weekend. You know how much Depp really cares that you have a great weekend. You know that.
He's invested.
Sure. How much? What do you know about the trial, Johnny? How much do you know about this?
Just from what I've heard over the last couple of years, I mean, it's been about 2 years now, right? Since the actual
It
death.
has been, yes.
Okay, so I remember watching his interrogation right after, and it was very kind of casual and I don't think she had been pronounced dead yet.
Nope.
And when he walked in, the officer, I think it was a female, she said, "So you're not having the greatest day, huh?" And he's like, yeah, I've had better, And it just started off kind of like, like that.
My recollection of the female officer was that she was very nice. She wasn't like, it wasn't like, Jerry fucking Orbach on a chain link fence in Harlem. It was, and I guess that's a technique, right? To get more information.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Dude, cops are all psychops,
Yep.
Is it psychops or psych? Is it? Am I saying that
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Mary Jean. Welcome. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, Mary Jean. Great to see you. So this is Mark Harris's message to me about Alec Baldwin, and you don't want to get on Mark Harris's bad. He's ruined careers. Mark Harris has ruined Jane Fonda's career, Barbara Streisand's career. Bill Clinton's presidency was brought down by Mark Harris. Howard Stern's career nearly got thrown off the radio because of Mark Harris. So Mark Harris has gone after Alec Baldwin now on my voicemail. Here we go.
Dear Alec Baldwin, you're disgraceful. Can't you see? The number one enemy of society. First your 30 Rock show, then your nightly MSNBC show, but most of all, you're hilarious. You're insecure, Alec. You really need a doctor. If you're behind, maybe a proctor. Count your money and your blessings, too.
Ouch. That is scathing.
Was that produced by Frank DeLeo?
Oh, no. It was produced by Tony Toronto and Leo the Lion.
Leo the Lion, that's it.
Leo the Lion and Tony Toronto. Jesus.
Wasn't he the one that used to have the old lady as his
Martha
life
Ray.
partner or whatever?
Yes,
Martha Ray. Martha Ray. Okay, yeah, that's right.
I think she was 85 and he was 42.
Yeah, and queerer than a $3 bill too.
Yeah,
I know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
you still use the queer. You still use the Q word, G.
Oh, yeah, I probably just got canceled for that one.
Speaking of Q.
Dearest Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo, or the QR code, or the Super Chats, or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
You too, Johnny. Have a great weekend. I don't think Depp knows what day of the week it is. What do you think about that?
Only if he has to go to trial.
I was thinking that during the. I don't know if we said that, but that's brilliant. You just said that. We must have at some point said this is the first time Depp's known what day of the week it is. Oh, that's so funny, G.
I love how
How
we
many-
roll up listening to reggae in that big like.
Yes.
I love that because
How about
he's
that
just
Phil
like,
Collins? How about that Phil Collins song when he was walking out of the? Just when I thought it was going all right, I thought I was wrong when I thought it was right. It's always the same. It's just a shame. So he's choosing this music. Is Depp listening to fucking Phil Collins now?
I could
Remember
just
he walked
imagine him
in with
rolling out
Phil
of bed.
Collins?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember it more being reggae and like it was I could just see him rolling out of bed, right, going to the trial in Fairfax, right, and just 2 words like when he gets into the back of the SUV, you know, and they have a driver, and he just says 2 words, and I want you to say them. Peter Tosh.
I think it was. I think
Yes,
it was
sir.
Dan.
Click.
It was.
Legalize it.
It was Dan Marley. Don't give up the fight. I think he was playing.
I used to go.
You're
Okay, back in like late 2019, they opened up. It was like Rihanna and some other big investors. I can't remember the name, and it was like $1.5 million to open up this cannabis cafe where you could actually smoke. It was in West Hollywood, right on the perimeter. It was an old restaurant. They put tons of money into it, and it was really jumping for a while. Then COVID came and Wuhan flu killed it. But anyways, I used to walk into this place, you know, it was all reggae'd out. And they played like, and they had all these devices that would suck out the cannabis smoke. Okay. And you could also smoke outside. So I used to walk in and I'd say, let me play a joke on these fuckers. And only I'm going to think it's funny, but I don't care. I'd walk in and I'd be like, hey, listen, I was wondering if you guys have ever heard of a Jamaican reggae artist named Bob Marley. And they'd be like,
And you like this, like, how dare you desecrate?
well,
us
they were
by-"
always like,
Yeah.
right. They were always like, they had that blank look on their face at first. And then I was like, I'm just fucking with you. But
I would have said Dan Marley. I would have gotten the name wrong. Spelled Magerle.
Well, he has 11 kids, but only 3 with Rita. So the guy got around.
Did that movie come out? Did that bio come out of him yet?
Yeah, it
I
did.
saw the trailer for it. I did. I was watching the trailer for it, and God, gee, I don't know if you saw this. There's a Bob Marley biopic, I guess, and it could be good. I don't know, but it was so sensational. They tried to make it like high octane, like action scenes. He had like a rocket launcher, on his side, shooting laser guns and jumping out of spaceships. It was just like it was ridiculous.
Apparently, none of them have ever been in a grill because there's nothing going on there in high speed. I gotta tell you.
I think they're all trying to be the Queen biopic because that was like huge,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
they're
well,
all
the
trying to
Elvis one
shoot
was
into
good
that.
too. Austin Butler and the Elvis one. They're floating Austin. But did you know Austin Butler dated Lily Rose Depp briefly?
No, but
would've-
you did.
I would not.
She doesn't know what you did. That's so bizarre. And now they're touting him to replace Depp and various things. I think if I hear one more Pirates rumor, I have it blocked from all my updates. Anything Pirates 6 is blocked. It's I'm so sick of it.
I was working SoFi Stadium and it was a soccer game. It was I can't remember the name, Los Angeles something. It's bugging me, but oh well. So I'm there and I see this dude and I'm like, that's fucking Stephen Marley, right? And he's holding his kid and he's got like a jersey on that says Marley, right?
Yeah.
So I hand him popcorn and we're in like a VIP area in SoFi Stadium. It's got like catering and stuff like that. It's not your regular area, okay? So I'm just working it as a waiter type of, food service.
Johnny, is there a Roy Rogers rest stop between you and the end of the story?
No.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I know. There's an Arby's and a Hardee's, but not a Roy Rogers. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
No, I miss Roy Rogers so bad. I really
I'm
do.
sure you do.
I do.
So does the whole cast of the Stern Show.
That was
Anyway.
that was the big. That was the last time Howard ate fast food is Roy Rogers.
Yeah. And I remember he used to go off on about Roy Rogers and fucking cranberry and vodka. Anyway,
Yes.
so how do I remember this shit? And so I see Marley, who I think is Stephen Marley, right? So I see him, I'm like, I gotta say something, man. I gotta say something. And so he walks out and then he walks to the regular part of the stadium and he walks out and I'm like, oh shit. and I see him. I go, thanks for the music. That's all I can think of, right? Like 20 feet away, he looks over at me, and it's Ziggy Marley. It's not even Steven. And I'm like, and he's like,
who cares?
Right. I know. Well, I'm like,
You could
and
say
he
that
just
to
looks over at me
anybody
and
in
waves.
LA. You could scream out it to anybody in LA. They'd be like, "Hey, all right, thanks, no problem." No, I would just say it to anybody.
My
Have you
friend
ever
used
been
to
to
have
LA, Arm?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
have. I went to Burbank, which I found interesting because it's a strip where this is like the Dan Schneider Nickelodeon studios before the protests and stuff. And it really, I knew, I was onto him. And I was hoping he would get exposed. And I was driving by there, and I had that like juice chill skin crawl feeling when I drove by the Nickelodeon studios, thinking of all the shady shit that had gone down. It was weird. You ever been to the Nickelodeon studios, Johnny?
Oh, passed by it. I've never
Okay.
been
You
in
never
it.
had an audition there for like, some shitty Schneider's shitcom?
No. I
No?
never
Okay. I
crossed
thought maybe
paths.
maybe
Fortunately, I
once.
never crossed paths with him. Wasn't he into feet of kids?
Yeah. Yeah. Which in
Okay.
my opinion is like just as bad as molesting someone. And I'm sure something's out there and it'll come out, but the thought is there. It's inside of him. When you're posting and soliciting pictures of kids' feet, the
Right.
pedophilia is in you. There's no doubt
Wait,
about it.
what? Wait,
I
sorry,
didn't
what?
want to pronounce the P word.
Did
There's
I
some
just
there's
hear?
some rumor that like metrics, like if you say that word, that somehow it
Enough.
zaps you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did I just
There's
hear you
always a way
correctly?
around it.
He's
Yes, that's
posting pictures of kids' feet.
yes, that's true.
online?
I'll send you the. I want to get to Schneider now. I'll show you the. It's a whole
Oh,
thing. If
wow,
you,
man.
I want you to watch Quiet on the Set document, the 5-part documentary
Oh, that's so
on
gross.
HBO
You just
Max.
turned my
Seriously, Jake,
stomach.
It is.
watch Quiet on Set. They do an amazing
Oh,
job summarizing it.
I
It's
don't
at
know if
4
I
5.
can.
Please, I want your
All right.
opinion on it.
Okay, man, I'll do
What
it.
And
brought
we
you
have
to L?
covered it. We have covered it on our Patreon. We've done 2 parts. One of them was 5 hours or 4.5
Oh,
hours.
God.
Yeah.
I can't remember
Joni
what I did yesterday. Never mind that.
Joni says Johnny
What?
Depp has his own time zone. That's so funny, Joni. That's so funny. He doesn't even. He's got his own time zone. The trial
What
center
brought
time.
you to LA and Burbank?
Funeral. A
Oh,
horrible,
okay.
horrible death in the family. Like, who it haunts me every day, all the time. Horrible death. Like, it's one of those things that it sometimes you move on, and this thing sticks with me, and I think about it all the time. Just horrible, horrible death. And it made me, if ever there was a time I'm like, oh, live each day as if it's your last and you could go to, that was the one. That was the one that made me go, oh my God, I could die tomorrow. It was
Right.
horrible.
You gotta stop obsessing on that stuff, man. You
I
know, you
mean,
gotta
I
kind
don't
of
know
let
how
it
you
go, right?
don't. I don't know
Well,
how you don't.
if it gave you pause, to live a better life where it's more meaningful,
Yeah.
then it's a silver lining, and you got to look at like we're all going to die. I know that's a
Yep.
depressing thought, but you got to pack it in while we're here.
I think
Exactly.
you're right. You're right. If somehow you could remind yourself to quote unquote seize the day, but it's impossible to hold on to it. It just is. You could go broke. It's if everybody was just in a chaotic state of mind, like where you would just seize the day, it would be chaos. We
You are
acted
right.
on every impulse. What?
You are right. I mean,
I
we
know.
have calendars and planning books for a reason. Not everything can get done today.
But it is nice to let loose, once in a while, just bark at the moon like that and let loose and not give a shit. It is intoxicating. So someday just go, I
Spontaneity.
don't give a shit.
I think Johnny's done that more than once.
Yes, he does.
Just
Yes, he
kinda
does.
howled at
He
the
does
moon
do
and
that.
went
But he
batshit
can afford
crazy.
to. He can afford to. He can throw money at the problem.
Must be nice.
Yeah, and he's gonna have a Saudi prince bail him out to the tune of, right? I mean, that's backing you now.
Well, he's called a prince, but he's really a king, right?
King, right? I think so.
He's the king. Yeah, I mean, his dad's still alive, I believe, but he's turned stuff over to his son now, so that's why.
Yeah, Barbara DeRush will sign off on this. The documentary gives you the chills. It absolutely does.
Sorry, I hate to ask you, but what's it called again? Just so I can take it down because
Quiet on set. Quiet on set.
Quiet on the
Quiet
set.
on
Okay.
set. Yep.
Okay, thanks, man.
So this is just a little fun thing, and to go back because speaking of Baldwin, this is Baldwin Germain. This is from the early 2000s, late 90s, I get nominated for a Howard Stern FME Award for Best Celebrity Fight against Billy Baldwin. And I kind of called in because I got so sick of nepotism. Nobody hates nepotism more than Johnny Meyer or cronyism in Hollywood. And I called him up. I called Steven up, actually, and streamed at Steven about William. And I brought up Alec a lot during the whole thing. And William called in after that to yell about me. Then I called back in to fight with Billy. And then it made the FMEs here. So this is the FME version of them playing it. And I went against Howard versus Dice Clay, Jackie against Rodney Dangerfield, and Corey Feldman against his dad. So this is Baldwin Germain. It's a little fun before we get to the interrogation.
I tell you, I love the FME.
I paid him in joke.
Now, our final nominee in this category is Billy Baldwin.
Who's he arguing with?
A listener. Billy Baldwin, producer. The guy is on the phone who wanted to fight you.
What a pretentious a-hole you are. Denigrating Mets fans? Why don't you alienate New Jersey?
Excuse me, you're the one that got on the air and you said announce it off, punk.
You're saying...
Let me say this, too, before I go. This is a Johnny Depp podcast, so, yeah, I bring up Depp like 5 times during this, and I mentioned that
you.
Yeah, so this is what G Canada's right. I can bring it to him. Depp turned down Backdraft. We talked about with the Brad Pitt stuff, all the stuff Depp turned down that went to Brad Pitt. Depp also turned down Backdraft that went to Billy Baldwin with Kurt Russell, which I kind of wish he did. De Niro was in it, and, Bruce Hornsby did the soundtrack.
Excuse me, you're the one that got on the air and you said announce it off, punk.
Your films could not be more repulsive. How do you make a living doing a crap? You're the worst actor. You know what you are?
Tell me this.
The anti-Johnny Depp.
Tell me this. Oh, thank you very much. That's a compliment.
Johnny Depp is great about you.
I thank you for that.
Yeah.
Listen, did you read the New York Times? And did you read New York Magazine? And have you read the New Yorker?
Yeah.
Do you read?
Yeah.
You have a college education?
Absolutely.
Where'd you go to school?
Providence State.
Baldwin State. Yeah.
I wouldn't announce that.
That ain't so good.
Can we fight in Massapequa? Because I think I have more fans.
Let me tell you something about Billy. At least as he says, he's making millions of dollars.
I don't care about money.
And getting to co-star with beautiful...
And he co-stars...
Howard, let me ask you something. Your fans are going to be really upset with me for defending myself, but let me ask you, Howard.
Go ahead.
Did you ever see Internal Affairs?
Yes.
Howard, did you ever see Internal Affairs?
Is that with Cindy Crawford?
No.
Oh.
Robin, have you ever seen Internal Affairs?
It's a great movie.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
You loved it. Okay, did you ever see Backdraft?
Oh, yeah.
Did you like that?
I like that, too.
Johnny Depp turned it down and you got it.
No, Matt Dillon turned it down.
Johnny Depp turned it down.
No, so what are you, a Hollywood insider all of a sudden?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
You know what you sound
Let
like?
me tell you something.
Another one of those frustrated actors who can't even take my sloppy seconds.
Hey, Billy, let me tell you something. If you bang Julia Roberts, you could be in Police Academy. I consider you successful.
Let me ask this guy something. Hold on a second, Howard.
Go ahead.
How tall is this guy? Does he want to do some stand-in work for me, maybe? I might be able to throw him a bone.
Arm, how tall are you?
I might be able to throw him a couple straps.
Shut up, you
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Extra work and standing work, that's good money, about $100 a day. About $100 a day, I get you a little standing work.
Asshole.
All right. Wow, tough category this year. Anyone could take it.
That was great.
I'm praying I'm going to pick up my first FME.
Oh, gee.
Dice.
Very hard to pick a winner.
I'm very, very excited celebrity.
Frank the Tank is right. They turn your volume down. Johnny, you got a taste of that, right? When you called in.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, they turned volume
more so on Man Cow. Because
okay, you got to play me that. I want to hear that.
I've got half a dozen on Man Cow.
Good, I want to hear that.
Tough guy actors.
It was an electric eel kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
You have to Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny, if you want.
No, you were saying, G.
I was going to say, tough guy actors always make me howl.
Yes.
They yell this, they yell that. They've never been in a fight in their entire lives. They've never taken a punch in their entire lives. They'll yell at you and hide behind a security guard. And it's kind of like everybody on Howard's show.
Yep.
I mean, you got one ostrich, pelican, 12-foot tall freak, and you got bunch of tiny little guys who all have giant New York City tough guy attitude.
I always wondered that, guys. Johnny's from Michigan, you're from obviously Toronto. Do you listen to that show? It's supposed to be national. He's like, what is with the New York fucking accents? Does that ever get to you that how
Oh,
New
it's
York that
so
show is?
horrific.
It's
It's
really Long
so
Island for
horrific.
the most part.
It happens in Buffalo.
Yeah.
When I go to Buffalo or Niagara Falls, New York, some people have that thick New York accent. I don't know
Yeah.
why. And I used to think Scottish was the most ignorant accent in the English language, but I've totally changed. It's got to be Bostonian, followed very closely behind by that New York accent. It's how come you don't speak with it at all? Did you grow up with people speak like that, or you in the suburbs
here's
that
what
doesn't
happened.
happen?
I do think there's a tinge of it in me. It was because I used to call in a lot of radio shows as a kid, in my mid to late teens, and I would listen back to myself and I'm like, oh my God, that's just, oh God, that New York accent's horrible. So little by little, I would chip away at how it sounded. Then I went to school in Murray State, Kentucky, and I was reminded what it sounded like there. And then I just gradually would just chip away at it. I still think I do have a hint of it, but I know, believe me,
Do
I
the
don't want to sound
people
like
in your
Mike Ganji
family?
for the rest of my life.
Do the people in your family have that heavy accent?
It's funny. My nephews, that generation, like the millennial generation, they do not have the New York accent.
It's gone.
They just don't have it. I don't know if it's like you're online all the time or playing video games and you're on headsets, or they just are exposed. They do not. None of my nephews' friends have a New York
Good.
accent, and
I
all
hope
my
it
friends
dies
did.
a horrible death.
Oh,
I hope it
it's
dies a
bizarre.
horrible death, man, because it's just awful to listen to. It's like Marianne from Brooklyn or
she's
Marianne from
horrible.
Melbourne. You listen to that either one of their accents, and you want to dig your ears out.
Howard!
Yeah.
Howard! Oh,
One
I
of
can't
arms.
stand
Thank
it.
you, Kylo. Autobot. Minnesota accents are brutal. Autobots from the Pacific Northwest. I always say that the area that without an accent is Washington State and Seattle. There doesn't seem to be anything going on there,
The
accent
whole
wise.
west coast of the USA.
Yeah.
And California people don't have it either. I don't find, it's just that East Coast. And you're right. I think it's only older people. I think it'll be gone in another generation.
Definitely. None of my nephews have it. None of them do.
I go back to Michigan. I go back to Michigan and I hear it and Chicago is a nasal. Hey, can I get a pop?
Yep.
Like that.
The Michigan accent almost borders on Canada in a way. No pun intended. Like
Minnesota
Yeah.
more because remember Fargo?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Grady. Okay,
Minnesota's
we'll get
far
out.
more. I mean, Michigan's far more subtle, but every now and again you could hear it detected if you really listen. Babe Lewis loves the New York accent, the Long Island accent. Sometimes you could use it to your advantage. Yeah, Frank. Occasionally you could hear it, definitely coming out. I think it's like punctuations and shit. I love my New York accent. Even say coffee in Boston's the worst. In all honesty, I really don't feel what I did was a crime, and I find it illogical and irresponsible for you to sentence me to prison. Because you think about it, what I do, I crossed an imaginary line with a bunch of plants. Sorry, Sharana. That's from
You got to
Blow,
work on
by the way.
that. You got to work on that. I know.
That's Depp and Blow. Yeah.
Was that from Blow? Yeah. Okay. Well, the one movie I actually know. Yeah. I've watched that
well,
one
I did Speed with Keanu Reeves.
I heard you sat in his lap on the bus. Is that true?
No, well, it hurt my nose.
Washington people have a slightly Canadian accent. Yeah, I don't know, Babe Lewis. I'll listen for that. I will listen for that. Dear Alec Baldwin. Okay, David. Thank you, David, for chiming in.
David.
I don't know if you heard this, David, but he sent this for you. You'll love this.
Dear Alec Baldwin, you're disgraceful. Can't you see? The number one enemy of society. First your 30 Rock show, then your nightly MSNBC show, but most of all, you're hilarious. You're insecure, Alec. You really need a doctor. If you're behind, maybe a proctor. Count your money and your blessings too.
It sounds like he's getting cut off on the. So here we go. Here is Alec Baldwin. I have so many. This is David. By the way, this is David.
So I scored a short animated film called Cowabunga. The opening shot is of a UFO flying by, followed by a title card, followed by another shot of the UFO flying by. Because we have two similar shots back to back, I composed a kind of call and response thing. Both pairs of chords are chromatically related. The first one is going from C major to A major, the second one is going from C major to F sharp major, and it
You hear that Mars Attacks soundtrack he composed by himself? That's amazing.
kind of evolves into E flat major because I'm trying to build tension before a big moment.
It kind of evolves into an E flat major. Kind of. Not fully. It kind of evolves into the E flat major.
We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, Frank, right? Look at David's hairline. He should sublet that shit out. If he just substituted, he could sacrifice like 15% of that hairline. It could provide hairlines for all of West Hollywood going through it. Look at that hair.
Arm, have you been forwarding my emails to David?
Yes, thank you very much.
Good.
So Johnny Meyer is always giving tips to David for composing gigs that come up. Yes, I always try to, and I don't know if he's ever gotten or capitalized on it. That's really nice of you, by the way, to do that. That really is. That's a great community we have here.
The phrases are similar in that they both start on beat 2 of their respective measures, and they're rhythmically the same. In order to make them different, the first phrase is more light, more magical, more benign sounding.
Yes, he said benign in this rant. You caught it. He said benign.
I didn't want to give away the full force of the orchestra to give the impression that it's a serious or scary film, and also it's just better pacing to not give away the full force of the orchestra right.
The full force of the orchestra has always troubled me as well. If you give it away too fast, you're kind of you'll compromise the whole score sometimes, I find.
You're jumping the gun.
Yeah, you're jumping the gun, without question.
You know, the guy is absolutely brilliant, but I'm guessing he knows jack shit about guns.
That's what's brilliant about him. He doesn't need them.
Alec Baldwin knows more about guns.
His brass section, his firearms are his brass section. He speaks with his cello.
Good analogy.
To capture this gentle.
You ever see Once Upon a Time in Mexico with Antonio Banderas? He had the guitar with the gun at the end. That's what David runs around with, a cello with a gun at the end of it. Johnny Depp is in that's why I know the movie. I didn't even see the El Mariachi trilogy. I just went right to Johnny Depp in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. It might be his most underrated performance. What about Mark Harris's performances? In terms of he plays it so sly. It's based on a sleazy lawyer he supposedly had. And he plays a CIA agent who's like a double agent, and he steals that fucking movie from Antonio Banderas. How long is the scene? He's in the whole film. Apparently, I heard they airdropped him into the movie, and he shot his shit for maybe 2 weeks. He's in the whole movie. He's in 75% of the movie. He steals that shit from everybody. It's like no one exists. That's the power of that. They called that back then depth charging a movie, where you would airdrop him into a movie and it would just change the whole complexion, and they'd let him do whatever. He basically was playing Daredevil, Matt Murdock, the comic book character, like with a gun. So he was blind. And I always thought he would have made a great Matt Murdock back in the day. Too late now. Charlie Cox is Matt Murdock. But he is so brilliant in that movie. And it's such a piece of shit otherwise. Like, I would never see that. And I cannot recommend, if you're going to watch Once Upon a Time in Mexico, just watch Depp scenes. Antonio Banderas doesn't even exist in this thing. It's like he doesn't. Melanie Griffith said that too.
Effect, I orchestrated the 2 triads for 6 woodwind instruments in a higher.
Hey, I got your triad, pal.
I was thinking I got your woodwind.
That's even better. Look at David torturing himself down here.
Register with a closed voicing on the triads. The flute and piccolo, I have them doing another thing. We'll talk about it in a second. In contrast, the second phrase has triads in a lower register with an open voicing. I orchestrated them for 4 woodwinds.
David's hairline's so strong that it actually pops over the comment of himself. Look at that shit.
I remember when I had hair.
Look at that. Oh my God. Right, Jay?
I hate to interrupt, buddy. I gotta go. Thanks a lot for having me. It was great, but
Hey, G, thank you so much for showing up at all. Love
you,
G. Pal.
Yeah, see you later, Johnny. And thanks for rehiring me after your brutal firing of me.
We don't give up on friends.
You really tore a strip off me and fired me, and I had to come groveling back, and you had me back. Thanks a lot, man.
Yep, I don't want to breach
Have a good day,
contract.
everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
G.
great weekend. Have a great weekend to all my Canadian
You
friends
too.
because
Thank you,
it's
G.
a long
Later, eh?
weekend here and it's party time.
Have a good weekend, eh?
Yeah, I gotta go to work
Have
and
a
then I'm
bats
partying.
on me, G.
All right, buddy. See you later. Thanks.
Look at David's hair, Johnny. It's just like
I see. I used to have hair like
ripping.
that when I was like 15.
Nobody does, and you know it's gonna be like this for the rest of his life.
Clarinets, two bassoons,
very 80s.
and 3 trombones and tuba. The idea is that the UFO
It's
flies
Cleveland
by
Brown's
on
hair,
the
if you
second
think about
chord of each of these statements, so I want to add more stuff to the second chord to make it more emphasized. Throughout both phrases, I have the flute and piccolo arpeggiating in...
There's your arpeggiate. Are you kidding me? We've I mean, arpeggiate.
How much is that word worth?
We use it
$10?
all the time on the it's the Deppening word, arpeggiate.
Well,
The
Triad
arpeggiate
used to be the, I don't know if they still exist, but Triad used to be the name of a big agency in LA. Like
I
agency.
guarantee it's named after that, Johnny. I bet you it's like a musical person. Oh, guaranteed. You know it's inspired by that. Guaranteed.
Sextuplet 16th notes.
Sextuplets,
They're outlining the
arpeggiate.
chord, whatever the chord is that they're over. I'll add some other notes to the sequence to make it more harmonically interesting. So, for example,
Harmonically
if it's an A major
interesting.
chord,
Look
I'll
at
add
this
an
guy.
F natural.
God, I love David. And when I just cannot stop thinking about George Will when I see David. Oh God, harmonically interesting. How could he string?
I love
those
the
words?
range of I love the range of vocabulary on this show, man. You guys have a great grasp of the vernacular.
We love highlighting $20 words.
Maze and an emphatic stroke of Byzantine whimsy.
Every time I see the word Byzantine now, I'm
to
like,
me, that sounds kind of
That's what I want to do. I want to go home word Byzantine. So you'll go out and look it up, and then it'll be in your lexicon.
Oh, I looked at it.
Serious. It's a great thing to do, to experiment with adding notes to different triads to see how it makes the emotion more specific. It's also important that the flute and piccolo aren't just an octave apart. Create harmony out of them.
Frank the Tank's loving this. He's a music nerd. I'm telling you.
You never have too much harmony unless it's too much when you listen back and then you change it. With the flute and piccolo doing sextuplet 16th notes, I'm also going to add the harp, celeste, second violins, and violas doing duple 16th notes, same harmonic.
Did you catch that, Johnny?
Most of it. I heard Byzantine. I read Byzantine online, and it was referring to a Byzantine era in time. Have you heard it used that way?
Yeah, yes, it could be used. Listen to this last word he drops.
Violins and violas doing duple 16th notes.
Duple
16th notes. Duple 16. Thank you, David.
How are we spelling duple?
If I had to guess, I would say D-U-P-L-E.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Google yet.
It could be D-U-P-E-L. I'm assuming it's E-L at the end. It could be D-U-P-E-L, maybe. Okay, here it is. I got it the first time. D-U-P-L-E.
Okay.
What does it mean, David? What does duple mean? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's more than a music word.
It's like a merging of two things. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, you probably got that, Johnny. I got a duple between my knees, says David. Sounds like. Oh, by the way,
stop it.
David, I love the knee. A. Smith says Kurt Russell fought the triads in Big Trouble in Little China. That's a great reference, A. Smith.
It is. It's the name of a gang. Yeah, I forgot about that too.
Yep.
I know Wakusa. What's the Japanese gang name?
My Wakusa over here. Sounds like when you're behind on the light. So here we go. This is the Alec Baldwin interrogation in New Mexico right after the shooting of the lovely, rest in peace, Halyna Hutchins. It is a horrible, horrible tragedy I think about all the time. But first, Sarah told me to do
But notice how the cops are so nice,
Yeah, nicest interrogation I've ever seen. Hit like and subscribe, everyone. Hit like. I'm begging you. Hit like and subscribe.
Dearest, Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo or the QR code or the Super Chats or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
You too, Johnny. You too. I know you don't know what day of the week it is, but have a great weekend as well, whatever you consider. This is Alec Baldwin in New Mexico being very, very lightly interrogated, and I put that loosely right here.
This is like a celeb interrogation.
Yes, it is. You don't see much of this.
Either of those chairs. I thought he was coming with you, so.
I'll say it again. She had just been shot. Halyna Hutchins is in the hospital as we speak, and he is being interrogated, and he has no idea she passed away.
But did you hear what she just said?
What, Johnny?
I think she said, "Hey, I thought she was going to be with you." So he's probably lawyerless, but had the option of having one there, but chose to be like, "Let's get this over with. Let's get over it." You know what I mean? I'm guessing.
Either of those chairs. I thought he was coming with you, so. Yes, ma'am. I'm Alex. I'm one of the detectives on the case, and can we get you coffee?
How great would it be if Alec walked in, first thing he did was this?
Guess who?
Okay. We'll be in here in just a minute, okay?
They got the soundproof thing, and you know what those squares they have now, where you could like kind of soundproof your individual room. I don't know how much of that you have to put
How funny would it have been if she had a still of him? And first off, can you sign this? And it's the one where he's poking out, the one you have.
Oh, that would be great. Like a headshot from like The Shadow or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. That's him at his most handsome. I always felt that he would have been the greatest Bruce Wayne in the 90s. He really was Bruce Wayne, like without even trying. He would have been a great Batman if they cast him. He was, a lot of people.
Yeah, he had that voice too.
He was cast as originally, he was offered the Thomas Wayne role in The Joker, and he turned it down because, which I actually like what he said. He said that Thomas Wayne wouldn't have punched the Joker in the face in the bathroom like that. It was too much of like a loose cannon sociopath. He would have tried to like reason with him. And I agree with him on that. Thomas Wayne's characterization, he would not punch someone in the face that quick, especially like a helpless mental patient. Look at him. You know that's fucking Lorne Michaels. Alec, can you do Trump tonight? Like a Saturday. I think it's a Saturday.
I'm busy.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Hilaria.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hey.
I'm at the police station, sheriff's, and they're about to interview me.
Is there any doubt that's Hilaria, right? Is there any doubt?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Right. Red October is about, you're right. He used a gun in that. The Getaway. He's used guns before. I'm not saying that he's, it's just that it's not in his life.
Hey.
I'm at the police station, sheriff's, and they're about to interview me. How is everyone at home? How are the kids?
The kids are great.
Did you hold on a second, please. Did you tell Carmen what's going on?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Are you convinced you don't want to come tomorrow?
I mean, I don't think it's a good idea. Look, call me after you talk with the sheriff, but like, I don't think it's a great idea. I think this is, you know.
Yeah, but let me say this to you, just to be clear. They're going to make me stay here tomorrow anyway, to talk to my insurance investigators. This is really, I'll talk to you more, but I'm just saying.
I'm so sorry. You must have such, like, you must be so traumatized.
No, what I am is someone who, I don't want to do this for a living anymore, I don't want to be a public person. And, you know, I'm the one holding the gun in my hand that everybody was supposed to have taken care of. They always hand me a cold gun. Where are you now?
Cold
So he's like
gun.
admitting it right there.
Yeah.
They always hand me a cold gun. So
Cold
he knows he's guilty. And he's like, I don't want to be a public figure anymore. What the fuck does that mean, dude? It's a little late, buddy.
I get so I don't know. I guess it's like a.
Did you hear him say
civilian
that?
thing. Yeah. It's just, and she
I don't
again.
want to be a public figure anymore.
I'm not entirely sure he knows he's being recorded right now. I think he's told it later, but it's running the whole time. And
no, he never looked up at the camera.
No, and Hilaria doesn't know she's being recorded either.
Well, let's let this thing go by, and if he does ever look up at the camera, then we'll know that he saw it. I know he hasn't yet, and I've seen this.
Michelle, who?
He took her off speakerphone.
And where are you? Okay, all right. I'll call you back when I'm done. Okay.
I always love when like rich celebrities have to slum it in a room like this.
Right.
A table that he would never sit at in any other scenario.
You can tell he is frazzled as fuck.
I don't think he goes 30 seconds without texting someone or calling them in downtime. He's he's still cavalier though. He's still not rattled yet because I think he thinks, well, I'm gonna, because he doesn't know she's dead. It hasn't happened yet.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, where are the kids?
They're sleeping.
The boys are sleeping?
Yeah. Did
she tell you what's going on?
By the way, I thought I saw the timestamp on this. I think it was, did you see this too, Johnny? Is it like 4 p.m. Mountain Time?
I didn't see.
I swear I saw the timestamp originally when I looked at this. I thought it was like the day is over on the set now, and I think it's like 4 p.m. and the kids are sleeping, so it's 6 o'clock Eastern time in the.
But just what he's saying, like you could tell by his like resignation, if you will, like that he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not a public figure. Like he's made up his mind, like, yo, I'm guilty. And I'm gonna have to take the fucking fall for this, but let me start building a defense now. And like, that's what's going through my head.
Yeah, and in his mind, he knows he shot Sousa in the leg, and in his mind, I think the way he would, how do we get this production back on track? I think he's thinking about finishing the movie. I think Halyna Hutchins is a distant second to him.
Oh yeah, this is all about Alec and protecting
Absolutely.
Alec.
And his career, and where do I go from here, and how am I gonna, me. This is like just after COVID, I think too.
I'm trying to convince her to come. I think we should come. And just spend the time here, and they're going to do what they got to do with, and deal what they got to do with, and we shouldn't let it. We'll go. I won't work, and we'll go enjoy ourselves. It's all paid for, and they're not going to give us the money back.
And we should be staying away from the vultures here.
Are they outside?
No, but I imagine they will be at some point. They're
I
going
think
to
it's a
find
great
out.
idea.
So she's in New York. They have a. If anyone knows NYU in New York City in the Village, their apartment is got to be, I want to say, 1/8 of a mile south downtown from where NYU is, maybe even closer. And it is so easy to just. She knows the paparazzi. You got Johnny. You get this all the time. Celebrities love to buy coffee in individual cups at place. Why don't you get your own goddamn coffee machine? Because you love the attention. They love to trundle to coffee shops and buy individual coffee cups and take them back. They love it. Ben Affleck, Alec, they love buying coffee. Get your own coffee machine. It's not that expensive. You love the attention. You want them to follow you, especially Hilaria.
It's a great idea. You should come for that reason also. All right, I'll call Carmen on her iPad, okay?
Okay, yeah, she's on her phone. I'm very sorry, actually.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea how unbelievable this is and how strange this is. And I'll explain to you later.
Sorry, you're in this position.
No, it's just.
I hope everyone's okay and that you're okay.
I'll call you back. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This gives you a little insight. I mean, obviously went through this a little bit in the Depp trial, like what a celebrity goes through as far as the assistants and the nanny and the constant send this person here and pick me up here, and it's this constant like rotation of help that gets them through, and they'll never do anything for themselves. There's a constant rotation of a team they're calling all day long, and that's just what he's talking about, these names and iPads and
And they always call the paparazzi something other than the paparazzi. In this case, they call them the vultures here?
Right.
Or the vultures. The vultures, yeah.
It's the vultures' fault that you attack them. That's right. I do like that sometimes he kind of sticks up for himself. Like it's good to see someone not, he's like, no, I'm gonna just lean into it.
Hi, Samantha.
I mean, I'm a fan of his talent as an actor. I think he's a really talented guy. I'm not gonna shame to say that, but he's got this duality to him.
So, in the way you're here, for this incident that was unfortunate earlier. Yeah. I know you already agreed to talk to us and everything, and that's great. We're just gonna go over the rights. She's gonna read these to you as you understand them, and just sign an initial, and then.
Barbara DeRush, Babs. That's a pretty good theory. Like she left him in the room.
It's not a theory. It's the truth.
It's the
truth. They leave him in there to see how he's going to act alone. It was very deliberate. And she's absolutely right. Barbara, good call.
Yes, I agree. Good stuff.
If you read about him and agree to talk to us, it's fine. As you understand them, yes. Yeah, so first one, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you in...
Use pinhole cameras, says A. Smith. Okay, I never heard that term. That's good. That makes a lot of sense. Pinhole cameras.
Court or other proceedings, you have the right to consult with an attorney before making any statement or answering any questions, and you may have him or her present with you during questioning. You may have an attorney appointed to you to represent you if you cannot afford one or otherwise obtain one. If you decide to answer any questions now with or without a lawyer, you have the right to stop questioning at any time or to stop questioning for the purpose of consulting a lawyer.
So my only question is, am I being charged with something?
No, we're just interviewing.
I don't, that's what
But
I'm not worried because I'm not,
We have to do our job
just tell me that
at advising you your rights
write my name here?
Is investigation.
He's kidding, but not really. All I want to know is, am I being charged with something? And then he goes, oh, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not. He's not. That's truly what he's thinking inside.
Little bit of truth in all humor.
Of course.
Just a formality. You have to do it. You're here. I appreciate it.
What is today?
It is the 21st of October.
October 21st. Yeah, it's Saturday Night Live. Would have called him in to do Trump.
Well, what's interesting, not to digress on some commentary here, is that we've done this for 2 weeks and we did it the right way every day. Every day. You're on a set, you rehearse, they bring you what's called a cold gun.
He says cold gun one more time.
Completely empty, the chambers, or there is a cosmetic piece. So, for example, if you're the camera, and this is going to sound silly and specific, but if I'm pointing a gun close to the camera, you want to see into the cylinder that there's material in there, cosmetic material. So those rounds are cosmetic rounds. They put them in, and you rehearse, or even in a shot when you don't fire. I pull the gun up, and you see there's some material inside the cylinder. They'd hand you a cold gun, no charges. They always hand you a cold gun with nothing in it to rehearse. And then, when you shoot, and if you were shooting,
he's just steamrolling through them without even being asked a question. I say again, I don't understand. And Johnny, you've been on sets with guns probably. I don't understand why it even comes close to even using a real gun. I don't understand. I don't know who's going to know it.
What I know is the mindset of an actor. And right now he is trying to talk his way out of it, but being cordial and nice. I can just tell his fucking demeanor, man.
He's also using a lot of on-set movie lingo. Right?
Well, he's used to being the star of a room, no matter what. He's used to being the star and the main attention focus of a room.
Yep.
Okay. So now he's taking over, and it's just something that's it's so ingratiated in his personality that this is a real deal right here.
This is even worse because he's the producer. He's making all the money on this. The budget, by the way, was $7 million for Rust. And that's all going to him. I mean, there's nobody. You wouldn't know anyone else on the movie.
This is performance, though. You know that, right?
Yeah. And I think the more he uses movie nomenclature, it confuses them because they don't know the words, the movie lingo. You know what I mean? Craft service and blah blah blah, all that shit you say.
It's crafty,
right?
In loads that are flash loads, and they're usually in 3 denominations: quarter, half, or full load rounds, so that the flash.
That's a good question. Now, I think they brought his lawyer up, Kylo, and maybe he's so cocky here that he doesn't think he needs his lawyer at all.
That's what I think too. Like, let's get this over with. I'm innocent. I'll talk to them. I don't have nothing to hide. Nothing to hide.
And let me remind you, she hasn't died yet. She's in the hospital. He doesn't think there's a shot in hell she's gonna die from this. In his mind, you could tell how cavalier he is.
His bride, and the sound is loud, louder, loudest. Full load is loudest. So if you're outside, you want a full load. Bang, you want a loud sound. If you're inside, you put a quarter load. Right before you shoot, everyone preps. Crew puts the earplugs in, some put headphones on. The camera's there. Very often there's a loose, tight screen. But you're the camera operator, and there's the camera. So I should always shoot off camera. You never shoot into the lens. And you shoot, and there's a flash and a sound. Now, I went to lunch. She disarmed me. I sat down.
She being...
Johnny, how long is a lunch break on these sets?
An hour.
They talk about lunch constantly in this Rust saga.
And they'll call lunch dinner.
Lunch. Yeah.
If it's the first break, then if it's the first food break, it can be at 6, 7 p.m. It's still going to be called lunch. It's just this weird anomaly.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Right. Everything's called lunch. So, right, if you're eating a meal,
they never call it dinner.
They never call it dinner. Right. It's always called lunch. It could be 8:30 at night, and they call it lunch. Thank you for that, Johnny. I was thinking that, too, when I'm listening. They love saying fucking lunch. This is like movie nomenclature.
It's Hannah, the armaments person. She was always handling the guns 99% of the time. So I would, if I had a cosmetic rifle with no rounds, I hand it to one of her assistants. I'm sitting there, she disarms me, we go to lunch, we come back from lunch, and they hand me the revolver, the Colt.
And I just like so mean.
See the cosmetic rifle?
Yeah,
by the way, I got
okay.
a cosmetic rifle in my legs, between my legs.
So this is cosmetic rifle is not a real rifle. It's cosmetic. Does that make sense?
Right. No, it makes total sense, but
it might be rubber. It might be just a I don't want to say facility, but facility. Am I saying that right? It might be just a non-working. It could be rubber, and it can also be like steel or metal, whatever they make guns out of. But it'll have like a full barrel, a barrel that's filled.
Yeah.
It can't be. So I think that's a cosmetic gun too.
He's talking hilarious. He's like, it's so super strange to kill someone. You know. I'm not laughing at that. But so I've been to Toys R Us shopping for my nephew. I'll say that as an alibi. And like everything else, like action figures, like video games, the toy guns they sell now are so real looking, you can't tell the difference. Like my nephew had toy guns. I was doing like tuck and rolls on the fucking living room floor. You can't tell the difference. Just use a Toys R Us gun. Why do you even come close to anything real? It's so stupid.
Toy guns in California, they have to have an orange tip on them to be sold. So I don't know if that's in your state or not.
That I haven't seen. I mean, I don't delve into it much, but I just don't understand why they even come close to having anything real. It's so stupid. It's so unnecessary. It's such a waste. Why would you risk anything? The special effects you could put in later. Who gives a fuck? What is there? 0.001% people can even tell it's a fake gun? What are you trying to appeal to? The NRA watching it? Who's your audience? Who even makes a Western anymore? Who gives a shit? God damn, there's only one Yellowstone. Like fucking Lone Ranger and Cowboys and Aliens are all bombs. Why would you even make this at this point?
What is that? They arm me, and you're assuming, as we've done every time, that it's a cold gun for the rehearsal.
He says cold gun one more
and
time.
I put the gag in the shot. You're the camera because I have a coat and I have a holster, and I pull the coat over, and I kind of cup my hands like I folded my hands. And then I'm going to slowly sneak the revolver, the Colt out, and turn and shoot these other guys, or try to shoot them. I take the coat over the thing, the camera's there. I believe, my recollection is she was there, turned a bit, like talking to him. So I think she was hit in the right armpit. But this is all I know, and that is that I take the gun out in the rehearsal. He wants it very dramatic and very slow. I'm trying to sneak up on them. I take the gun out, and as it clears, as the barrel clears the hole, turn and cock the gun. I turn and cock the gun goes off. Okay. It's supposed to be a cold gun. Nothing. No flash charges, nothing. Now, This is a puzzle to me. This is making me very emotional.
Sunflower Dragon says when the cop walks in, he should say attorney, and it's over. And that goes for any circumstance. He never talked to cops. He's so cocky, Sunflower, that, like I said, he doesn't know.
His ego won't let him.
Right. And he knows more than they do. The ramifications are about to happen. He thinks this is a nothing burger. So that's why he's just launching right into this shit.
And if he talks to them, it's going to make him seem more open and innocent and and you know what I'm saying? It's going to get
no, totally. He's like, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. I'm right. And that's how they're going to view him. Like
that's what he's going with, but he's still guilty of it.
In my time, and I'm older now, but when I was younger and I was shooting guns and films, I've never seen a theatrical flash round where the material went through someone's armpit, came out their body, and hit somebody else in the shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if your department is prepared to go find out what comes out of his shoulder surgically. Is that a live round?
That's what we are actually looking
Is that a lot? Because it doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Yeah.
It hits her in the armpit, comes out her shoulder, goes into his shoulder, and he just told me on the phone, I talked to Joel. He said they showed me the x-ray, and the shape of the thing in my shoulder is the shape of a bullet. Now, all the rounds
He says they talked to Joel. Joel is Joel Sousa, the director. Joel Sousa, a lot of people don't realize, was also shot by Alec and survived. And he testified in the Hannah Gutierrez trial.
So wait, it went through her, and then it went in him. It killed her, but it ended up in him.
I'm not sure if it's that or it's shrapnel fired in two different directions. That it actually hit them simultaneously, or he might have fired two bullets, but it definitely hit them both. And Joel Sousa was also hit, and he limped into the Gutierrez trial and testified. And it's just, like I said, this movie killed so many, no pun intended, careers. The people quit the industry that worked on this. It was so traumatizing. It was so much. It ruined the fledgling careers of so many people that worked on this movie. And they're all suing.
Yeah, no, real quick. Did Gutierrez, she was found guilty, yeah?
Yes.
Separate trial? Okay, and did she get
15 months? 15
she
months.
got 15 months. Suspended
15
sentence, or is she going away?
She's in prison. She's in prison right now.
Okay.
And so I don't know she's testifying against Alec in August. And I don't know how much the sentence is reduced for it, but she's testifying. Even if she doesn't get a reduced sentence, I think she just wants vindication that he's not going to walk away scot-free. I don't even know. It's not a long time when you're that young. And her dad is her dad was an armorer before her.
Right.
So she's actually a nepo baby for
right.
She's 24 on this movie, and it's like
I heard she was underqualified.
Oh, of course. They all know it. They all said that. They all testified to that.
And then what's the status of the movie now? Do you know, Rust?
I swear to God, I thought I heard they want to finish it. They want to, like, they actually finished it.
I heard that. I heard that too. I heard that
that's
too.
Crazy. If that, like the infamy or the negativity around it would give it like a curiosity that people would actually watch it.
Yeah, but that would
almost like Aquaman 2, right? Being promoted the shit out of in the Depp trial, for 8 weeks.
Told you need to verify that this is important note. They take the gun, they enter and all the rounds that are in there
one more time.
were either dummy rounds, no flash, cold rounds, or rounds with a flash. In the rehearsal, there should have been nothing. It should have been a cold gun with no rounds inside, or dummy rounds, cosmetic rounds, no flash. I take the gun out slowly. I turn, I cock the pistol. Bang! It goes off. She hits the ground. She goes down. He goes down, screaming.
David with a Marcy Klein reference. That's Calvin Klein's daughter. God, Johnny, you must hate this shit. And she is a Saturday Night Live producer. Calvin Klein's, if anyone knows funny, it's Calvin Klein. And Marcy Klein's been on SNL forever. That's a great reference.
He's like, Jesus Christ. And I'm going, and I thought that maybe sometimes the wadding can come out if you're closer to get a burn.
Wadding.
2 actors who killed themselves with guns, with theatrical guns, John Eric Hexon and Brandon Lee.
Do you know who John Eric Hexon is? Sarah's
I do. Go ahead, Voyagers was my favorite show. He was with Mino Peluso. And do you know who Mino Peluso's sister is?
Nancy Pelosi.
Good call. Good try. No, it's actually Punky Brewster.
Oh, Soel Moonfry. I love me some Soel Moonfry.
I think it's Soleil.
Marta had us turned us on to the Kid 90 documentary, which is excellent.
She gave me her phone number in the 90s.
Did she really?
Yeah, she wrote it with eyebrow pencil on a piece of. Hi, I'm Soleil.
Bringing this back to Johnny Depp, she did a the Ryan White AIDS charity with Charlie Sheen and Depp. That's how she knew him, and then left a message and how much she had a crush on this new actor, Johnny Depp. This was season 2 of Jump Street, and they're both kind of mentioned in that Kid 90 documentary. God damn, I'm a big SMF guy. We love us some Soel Moonfry.
They put the live round in, and I'm told even with the flash powder, you can cause contusions and you can do a brain bleed and die, which both of them died.
Right.
I think with Brandon Lee, there was a
So the guy Hexen, right, is the last name. He also did a show called Cover Up. Remember Cover Up?
Yep.
It was like what was he, a model secret agent or something on? And they played that I need a hero. I'm holding on for a hero. And that was the theme song.
So cheesy 80s. It was so cheesy 80s.
He would have been a great Captain America if they made a movie back then. He looked like a
he was up and coming. He was huge because Voyagers put him on the map. And I used to love that show Voyagers. But then they did a ripoff with what was the guy? Time something.
Oh, Time Bandits or something like that?
No, it was a TV show.
Scott Bakula in
yeah, what was the name of that show?
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap, which is a ripoff of Voyagers. But you know how John Eric Hexum was fooling around on the set, and he put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger, but there was something in the barrel. It was like cotton or something, and it killed him. I mean, what
Alec
a shitty way to die.
Alec has an insane show business recall. He really knows. He loves the industry. He mentioned Brandon Lee and Hexum immediately. Immediately, he launched into the 2 incidents with them. I mean, we're not even 10 minutes in, and he brought those 2 up. That he knows exactly. Go ahead.
No, when I heard about Brandon Lee, I was on the set of 90210.
Wow.
When I heard about him dying. I remember that. And then I was on the set of something called My Posse Don't Do Homework, which later turned into Dangerous Minds. When I heard that Kurt
Pfeiffer. Big,
yeah,
that's how we know fucking Coolio.
I was an extra in that. And when I was on set, I heard that Kurt Cobain died. So it was April 94.
Wait a minute. Please tell me you were playing a 25-year-old high school student in that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are you in the classroom? Can we see this anywhere?
It was out. I remember the scenes we filmed for that were outside, and I remember that the original title for that movie, which is a dumb title, was My Posse Don't Do Homework.
That's great. That sounds like a parody of a movie, right? Like a
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
But what
Johnny,
they'll do is
what was the average age of the kids in the high school classroom that you were cast with? The actual age.
I would say 19, 20.
Okay, but you were older, right? You were 25?
Well, if it's 94, I was 22.
Okay. That's still good. Hey.
No, I was 21 because it was April.
That ain't bad. It's not bad at all. That's fine.
Yeah.
You can still pull off high school.
Piece of material.
Sunflower's right. He's not as smart as he thinks he is, and that's always been his downfall.
Lodged in the thing that shot from or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember vividly, but my point is, I've been doing this. I shot enough guns in my day in movies. I've never seen this before. Where a flash round, but from my understanding is, may I borrow your pen for a minute? My understanding.
Diagrams now. Oh my God.
You're gonna write it down,
Alec. Let me do a diagram for you.
Can I see that napkin real quick?
He's gonna draw. He's gonna draw Bill Belichick plays right now. You Homo sapiens and your cosmetic rifles. That's a great line, Frank. That is so good. Where is he? Where's Magneto?
You Homo sapiens and your guns.
That in a bullet, here's the thing with the pin, and here's the bullet itself. And now here, when you have a cosmetic round, no flash, they drill a hole in the side of the brass to signify that it's a cosmetic round. There's nothing in there. There's no powder. But when you have a flash round, and you have and there's stuff in there, wadding and powder to make the charge. This material here, that is the bullet, is made of a clay or some material that just disintegrates. So what you have is bang, and you see the flash go bang, and you hear the sound. There's nothing. There's no projectile.
Thank you, Sunflower. This is my point. She's so right. If the movie industry can make fake buildings, why can't they make fake guns? Right. Buildings, entire buildings and blocks, and you can't make a fake fucking gun. It's so stupid.
And what I'm curious about is what came out of that bullet that went through her body and into his shoulder.
That's pretty powerful.
I've never heard of it. Now, some people say you can lodge material in the barrel accidentally, a rock, something, that happens. Which is why every time we've done this, I'm here to tell you, to testify that every time we've done this, she's done it right. She cleaned the barrel, made sure nothing was lodged in there. We went hot when they were ready. You always announce, going hot. Crew gets ready. And then all of a sudden, you're the camera, and I shoot away from you. I sit there like, bang, 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 and flashes are coming out. We shoot the rounds. She cleans the barrel every time, and she checks that the rounds are all cosmetic rounds, or nothing in the chamber for the rehearsal. She hands me the gun. I'm assuming she's done it the right way. She's done it the last 2 weeks. I put it in the holster. I pull it out slow. We're rehearsing. We're not filming anything. I pull it out slow, turn, cock the pistol, bang, it goes off, and she hits the ground. And then he starts screaming. And I'm thinking, in a flash round, I could see maybe if there was wadding or there's some stuff like that, that's hot.
God, Barbara's so right. Listen to the lingo he's using. He's going through his day and there's sitting there as if he shoots someone. He knows all about people being shot by guns and on set and all about guns. So crazy. He really is like knowledgeable. Only imbeciles talk to police without a lawyer. There's Marta right now. Marta, we just brought you up in fucking Kid 90. How she's lurking in the like Brandon Lee in The Crow, sitting on a rooftop and just waiting for the name to come up and then swoops down. And goddamn, I bring up Kid 90 again, and we cannot go a Deppening when I bring up fucking Soel Moonfry, and that's fine with me. Every time we're gonna drop a Soel Moonfry. Thank you, Marta. Thank you.
Well, she gave me her phone number. Do you want to hear the rest of the story? Did I tell it like a year ago?
Can I tell you my favorite Soel Moonfry real briefly? Sure, you can. Yes.
Okay, so she gives me her phone number, and I'm like, okay, this girl's wants me to call her. And I put together in my head when I'm talking to her who she was, and I was telling her I was on the show at Michigan State. Anyway, she was like, whatever. But she ended up giving me her number. So I call her, and the first time I call her, she says the same thing as the second 2 times I call her. She goes, "Oh, hi. Can you call me back in 5 minutes?" And I'm like, okay. Call her again. Same thing. By the 3rd time, I'm like, okay, this chick doesn't want to talk to me, so fuck it. Isn't that an amazing story?
It is, and I think she does that often. I think she's nice to people, and she just gives out, the number. I'm not saying that she wouldn't have, but she just cannot keep track. And now cell phones change everything with that story, right? Because then it becomes the textathon.
Yeah, and I remember my friends. I was hanging out with some people at the time, these dudes, and they were like extras in Confessions of a Sorority Girl with Alyssa Milano that I did.
I have the Blu-ray. I have the Blu-ray.
Oh, shut up. So, as well as the Blu-ray of Catfish, right? You have all Catfish episodes. Okay, cool. Just
Embrace the Vampire. So, I did have the DVD actually.
So I told them about meeting Punky Brewster Soleil, and they're like, "Oh, okay." So you called her, and I told them, she kept saying, "Can you call me back in 5 minutes?" After the 3rd time, I'm like, "Okay, I get the hint." So they were like, "Are you gonna call the Rooster?" And they were giving me shit about calling her back. And I'm like, no, I'm not calling her back. Fuck it. It wasn't meant to be. But they called her the Rooster.
Her loss. Wow, the Rooster. Marta brings up, I think that line she's quoting here, I think that's from Malice. Remember when Alec Baldwin goes, you say I have a God complex. Well, I am God. I am and that God. That was the trailer moment for fucking Malice.
He was playing a doctor, yeah.
Yes. So he's saying like surgeons and doctors play God, which is somewhat true. He loves to have that line like Glenn Ross, right? I mean, it's all about his little scene in that.
Copies for closers.
Yes, and then we still use that shit. Did you ever see Boiler Room? They basically knocked off Ben Affleck basically played Baldwin in Boiler Room, and they kind of sort of reenacted that scene. Boiler Room's really good, but they ripped off that scene from Glengarry Glen Ross.
And maybe it hits you and burns you. And then, as they say, sometimes that happens. But remember, we're rehearsing, so no one's protected.
So it's all supposed to be this one, cosmetic one.
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
For the rehearsal, the gun is normally empty.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that they were standing in positions they wouldn't ordinarily be in because they assumed it was an empty, cold gun.
Oh, God.
We weren't shooting, we were rehearsing at the vital
I'm going to
difference.
drink
So if
every
she's here,
time.
if the camera's here, and she's standing here talking to the guy, and I'm on a bench here, and Joel's behind her, and this is not proportionate because obviously the camera's not as big as her body, but I draw the gun slowly and aim off camera, and there's supposed to be nothing in there. So she's not protecting herself and standing off. I'm shooting in a direction, and everybody is supposed to be to that side of the camera. There's nobody in my line. Nobody. And so when I shoot the gun,
That's interesting, Marta. Hillary Clinton Foundation, Halyna Hutchins is tied into that? I didn't know that. She's very good at connecting those dots. That's a pop culture savant. I believe you. Alec's good friends with the Clintons as well. Halyna Hutchins, I don't know when he gets the news she passes away, but it's during this. Trust me.
In the rehearsal, I'm assuming I have an empty gun, and the gun goes off. She's right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
She's as far from me as I am.
It's 85 through 90.
Difference between maybe you and the door.
Okay. So pretty close proximity.
It was a very tight shot.
Okay.
The shot was here.
Sunflower's right. So he's in the process of blaming Hannah Gutierrez right now. He's starting that process.
You remember True Romance? Remember the movie True Romance? Okay.
Sure.
You remember when he comes in to confront Dennis Hopper's character?
Yes.
Okay. And they're talking to him, and he's like, "Okay, you're telling me."
You're talking about
everything,
Christian Slater, right? Christian Slater is confronting, or is it?
No. It's who's the guy who's like Foo Fighters? Who's that guy?
Oh, Walken's in it.
So
yeah,
Walken comes in, and they're interrogating Dennis Hopper's character, trying to find out where his son is, right? And he goes, "You're telling me everything, but giving me nothing." This is what Alec Baldwin's done. He's telling him everything that's not important and pertinent.
Right.
But he's not coming. Now, when I saw Alec Baldwin interviewed after this, and he was all, coiffed, and he's talking to this.
I have that. You talking about the Stephanopoulos interview?
Yeah, he says that.
I have that.
The gun comes off, and the gun, he never touches it, but it goes off. And then months later, I heard that they, forensic analysts of the gun, there's no way that's going to happen. A gun just doesn't go off by its fucking self. No. So that's the real story there. Okay, he pulled that trigger. He just didn't know. He thought he was given a cold gun. I know you like that term, but
you got to remember too, he's talking to New Mexico. He sees them as New Mexican rubes. They don't know anything about the film industry, so he could say anything. Using the nomenclature from a film set, and they'll be dazzled by it. He can just say it over and over again, and that's what he's doing.
And the cops are giving him as much rope as he wants,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Not of me. It's of me pulling the gun slowly, so they turn cock.
Okay.
And she's right there, vulnerable, in a position she wouldn't ordinarily be if we were shooting. And this thing, boom, she hits the ground.
All right. I'm going to back you up just a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
How long have you been on set?
Thank you, Smith. You're an awesome guy.
I arrived Monday the 11th.
That water, it's 16 ounces, right? He's been sucking on that since he's walked in the room. There's it's like it's refilling itself. It's only 16 ounces. Is the condensation like forming? Is there like a dehumidifier in the fucking water bottle?
Small steps.
Big boy. Marta says, Alec is a huge ego. Spoke to police without a lawyer. We said that the hubris in this guy. He thinks he doesn't know what's going to happen. Again, Halyna Hutchins has not been pronounced dead yet. So he's coming in there with that ego, guns a-blazing. No pun intended.
Okay.
And started my fittings, and they were shooting the week before.
And the 11th of October?
Monday the 11th, I flew in from New York. I flew from New York to Denver to Albuquerque because there's no direct flights there, and then drove from Albuquerque to here, rehearsed and fitted, and did all my...
Johnny, you ever been to New Mexico, Albuquerque at all?
Yeah. They have a no helmet law. You can drive around with no helmet.
Speaking of helmets, he goes to Denver and then drives. Is that the process people do? They fly to Denver and then
I think he said he drove to, or flew to Albuquerque because nobody flies. It passed me by. Did
Okay,
he fly
yeah,
to Denver
just,
and then drive to Albuquerque?
yeah.
What he said?
So
Because there's
the
no
mo-
direct flights to
they've been
Albuquerque.
working on it for 2 weeks, and that's the day he arrived. So that's like 2 weeks ago, and that's October.
Preparatory stuff.
But that was in October, correct?
That was Tuesday the 12th, yeah. I flew on the 11th, rehearsed on the 12th, started shooting the 13th, Wednesday the 13th, I started shooting.
Okay.
We shoot a Wednesday through Sunday schedule. We're off Monday, Tuesday.
Wednesday through Sunday. Johnny, does that sound familiar to you? Movies, why that?
Well, because there's various concerns because if you want like at least 2 days out of the week off,
right,
so that it can be like but sometimes because whatever scheduling necessary needs that you have, sometimes you shoot Saturday, Sunday, and then you take your 2 days off on Monday, Tuesday. It's just a weird thing that you want to work 5 days a week, but for whatever reason you can't get Saturday, Sunday off. It's not.
Are you allowed to work 7?
Yeah. Listen,
your union doesn't block it?
Well, it depends. It could be non-union. I'm guessing this is union, so they have some kind of like 5-day work week that's like within the contract. You're not going to work a 7-day work week, but you don't necessarily are going to get Saturday, Sunday off, but there's going to be 2 days of the week that you do get off.
And also, I mean, wouldn't you be shooting around weather too? Like, are they dependent on certain weather New Mexico would have?
It's a variable that they have to account for. I mean, if you're shooting indoors, it doesn't matter unless it's like lightning and thunder outside.
Hey, nice use of variable right there, Johnny. Nice use of variable.
No problem.
I mean, you easily could play a math teacher just by dropping variable right there. That was good.
Stand and deliver too. Stand and deliver more.
I can't believe you were in Gangsta's Paradise, Dangerous Minds. Especially if the pivot release point of the finger. Wow, Frank really knows his guns. Trigger is worn and the revolver is jostled. Good use of jostled, Frank the Tank. He will definitely lose this trial. I agree, Marta, and have to do some sort of time. What did he do to piss off the cabal? Well, do you think community service is an option for him, Johnny?
I think a plea deal is. He might plea out. He might plea out because this is going to cost him millions in lawyers' fees. Okay, so he could easily save a lot of money and plea out, but I don't know if his ego will let him do that because he's here now under the auspice of an innocent man, and he's not because he is guilty, but he's trying to talk his way out of it because his ego, again, I think this is just my speculation, is telling them I didn't do this and I can talk my way out of it and I'm going to and I don't need a lawyer because I'm innocent. That's I think his mindset.
And in his mind, there are a bunch of New Mexico hicks who are dazzled by this New York superstar, and they'll just let him do whatever he want. No doubt about it.
So the entire time you've been on set, have you seen the same armorer
and her crew? Yeah, everybody.
How many people are on her crew?
My guess is that what I witnessed is 3.
Okay.
All young women. Hannah and 2 other women.
All right.
And very often their task with me, because we're not shooting every day, guns, there's no armaments every day. They dress me with my holster, my knife. The film is set in 1888, so I'm armed with the classic weaponry of the cowboy era.
Okay.
And so they would make sure I was dressed properly. 85% of their task is to make sure I'm dressed with everything properly.
Shack and stand and deliver with Johnny.
The armorers, wardrobe doesn't necessarily, they sometimes trade back and forth, but wardrobe doesn't necessarily deal with my holster.
Okay.
And the knife, but that's a prop. The armorer, Hannah, and her team, they dealt with me being knifed and that being lashed properly, so it looks proper.
Okay.
And the holster.
Okay.
So it was wardrobe as much as it was props, as much as it was armaments.
Okay. Do you know Hannah's last name?
No.
Do you know what she looks like? Or can you describe it?
So, did you hear that, guys? Just flipped it in really quick. Because do you know Hannah's last name? He goes, no. This fucking woman is the armorer, which you would think they would be intimately working with each other. He doesn't know her goddamn last name. I mean, who knows what the pre-production is, but they've been on set for 2 weeks. He doesn't know her last name, and her dad was in the industry. That's ridiculous. That shows you that he's rushing to get out of there and just fucking slam it shut and get the money as a producer. That's ridiculous.
He's not concerned.
Johnny, can you fathom the guy making all the money first on the call sheet doesn't know the last name?
Honestly, yes. This guy has an ego the size of, Murray State. It's a big
great reference.
It's a big ego. It's a big ego, okay? So so you're dealing with somebody that you really don't know how big his ego really is. He's in there to talk his way out of this, he thinks. Okay? That's his mindset, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong on that, Alec Baldwin, but his ego won't let him accept it. Now, listen to this. This is the part. Every time I've worked with guns on set, the first rule is never point a gun, even if it's got a barrel that's full of cement. Never point a gun at somebody unless it's in the scene, it's cold, and it's part of the scene. Okay?
Yep.
And it might be a hot gun. And if you got to point it at somebody, you're never, ever, ever, ever supposed to point a gun at somebody, even if the barrel's filled. It's just safe working practice. So I think he disregarded that because he thinks it's a cold gun and it's just rehearsal. So what could go wrong? He didn't know it was loaded. He didn't, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But then he should have never been pointing that fucking gun at somebody. Do you understand? Even if it was cold. And so he knows he's in the wrong, but he's doing the dance now of the ego dance of trying to get out of this.
What's amazing is, I know you didn't watch the last one we did it because you weren't on it, but G Canada said exactly what you said. It's uncanny how similar that was. He said exactly what you said. The same exact gun protocol.
Multicolored hair, glasses, not too tall.
Welcome, Melvin.
Everyone knows her
see you,
pretty well
Melvin.
because her father is a very famous armament
you,
guy.
pal.
He's a guy that did guns and movies for decades. He's very,
Okay, wait a
with
minute.
my
I'm sorry.
holster.
I stepped on that just because my good friend Melvin's here. So he's bringing up her dad. Oh, we gotta. Sometimes they mumble. Like sometimes you gotta.
And the knife, but that's a prop. The armorer, Hannah, and her team, they dealt with me being knifed and that being lashed properly, so it looks proper.
Okay.
And the holster.
Okay.
So it was wardrobe as much as it was props, as much as it was armaments.
Okay. Do you know Hannah's last name?
No.
Do you know what she looks like, or can you describe?
Yeah, multicolored hair, glasses. Not too tall. Everyone knows her pretty well because her father is a very famous armaments guy. He's a guy that did guns and movies for decades. He's very well known.
Okay.
She's the daughter of this famous gun guy, movie gun guy.
And what about the other?
Stop it for a sec. The first red flag is when your armorer has multicolored hair.
Yeah, you're cool with that because she comes cheap and she's lapped into the business.
But there's prices to pay.
No doubt. Roy G. Biv, you get the Roy G. Biv hair. But how about this? He knows the legend of her father as an armorer, but doesn't know his last name, but doesn't know her last name. It's so weird.
He probably got fed that on set. Oh, well, who's this hilarious? She's new. She's got, So his first questions probably when he meets this multicolored hair armorer is, what's her story? Oh, her father's famous. Oh, okay.
You're right.
He's a Nepo baby. She's a Nepo baby. I don't have to worry. And this comes back to bite us on the ass. But he's also playing loosey goosey with the firearm laws of the set firearm protocol and decorum. He's violating the shit out of that by pointing it at somebody.
No, you're right, because as you say, he has to mention the Roy G. Biv hair and then mention the Nepo babydom because he has to be reductive towards it because he's now placing the blame, deflecting it onto her. Because how could someone with Roy G. Biv hair that's her fault? She has Roy G. Biv hair. It's got to be her fault. I have nothing to do with it. She's ridiculous. She doesn't deserve this job. She's a Nepo baby. So he's immediately deflecting it onto her, Hannah.
Right. But
I know her name. She doesn't.
Imagine Alec walking onto the Russ set for the first day. He knows he has gunplay and he's got guns and everything. So he walks on. He's like, hi, meeting everybody, right? Oh, hi, Hannah. Your name's Hannah? Okay, great. Yep. Hi, Hannah. I had it. He looks at her multicolored hair and he sees it and he's thinking, his thought process is, okay, she could be just a very novice woman. What's her story? So he gets backstory. Oh, her father is such and such, and he worked on and now he trained her, and so she's okay. So that probably was the catalyst or the click in his head that was like, oh, like he accepted her. But meanwhile, she's underqualified, a Nepo baby, multicolored hair, multiple red flags right there. Okay. Yep. But he didn't see them, and where we are now.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever worked on a production where a situation like this, where Alec is so far ahead of everybody on this? He is number one on the call sheet, and number two is miles beneath him. Like, and he's the producer. Like, it is ridiculous how he has elevated himself over the rest of not just the whole production. Have you ever worked on it where this just 800-pound gorilla is ahead of it like this, but no one's even close?
Yes, and I'm about to bring up one of your favorite actors. You ready? First name is Leonardo.
Oh, so J. Edgar.
J. Edgar. You should have seen this guy's trailer, okay, for J. Edgar. Okay,
do it.
And it was like a huge condominium that you'd see on like a seashore or something. Like,
what was the budget for J. Edgar? Do you remember?
Oh, it was Clint Eastwood directed. He spends 10 grand a day on food alone.
Was it like 90 million?
Somewhere in there. I'd say a little bit less than that. But if you ever watch J. Edgar, there is no part of Leonardo DiCaprio that looks, sounds, or acts like J. Edgar.
He's the most overrated motherfucker. I say it all the time.
He's so miscast in that. Yep. It's just stupid. It's just
you ever see Billy Crudup in Public Enemies? Playing J. Edgar Hoover?
Yeah, but it's been a long time since I saw that movie.
Perfect. He's brilliant. Perfect. It doesn't get any better. You're so right. You're so right.
You have no idea. So, and then Armie Hammer was the sub-star under Leonardo DiCaprio, and he played the partner of Strictly Platonic of J. Edgar, right?
Who's gay. J. Edgar is actually gay, right?
What's queer is the $3 bill, I believe. Is the term.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so that was a situation where I just saw so much fluff, pomp, and circumstance for an actor who's not becoming the character. You know.
Agree.
Then there's the opposite when I was an extra in What's Love Got to Do with It. Do you remember the actress who played Tina Turner in that?
Yeah, Angela Bassett.
Yeah, she was totally into the character. Brilliant. And you could see where it was all like making sense that all the attention is on her because she's somebody who truly took it over. Probably I wasn't in the movie, or I just watched it. Was Jim Carrey in Man in the Moon. I mean, they become the character. They become
Thank you for that. I say this all the time. People don't realize how brilliant Jim Carrey is as Andy Kaufman in that movie.
Yeah,
how he
that's
didn't
amazing.
win an Academy Award is ridiculous.
He was robbed.
Incredible.
I'd like to know. Yeah,
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's
so there's
a good movie.
There's instances where it's like all like justified, I think is the word. All the attention on the star is justified because the star is pulling it off, the actor's pulling it off. It was the complete opposite with J. Edgar. When I saw that movie, I wanted to barf, but we did have gunplay on that, and we had to you check them in. They're empty, but they were real guns, but they were unloaded. And they came up to you and they're like, okay, here's the gun. It's unloaded. You look at it, but don't point it at anybody. Point it at the ground. You only take it out when you're doing the scene. Do you understand? Yes. Yep. Okay. Here's the gun. Then as soon as the scene is cut and in the can, they come up to you and they get your gun and they take it back. They're not fucking around. Okay. And so you have to be like on your best behavior. You can't be messing around. So
you said that DiCaprio is the most standoffish, prickly star you've ever been on a set with. Right?
I don't know if I use those adjectives, but I did.
I'm using it.
Are you putting words in my mouth?
Yes, I'm putting words in your mouth. Yes.
Well, I'm spitting them out. Okay.
No.
Just kidding. So I think the best term for DiCaprio would be unapproachable.
Yeah.
He gives off that air like it wasn't as intense with Johnny Depp on Ed Wood, but Johnny Depp gave me a sort of a similar look. Like if you're gonna, Johnny's was more like this. When I passed by him on the street and we were shut down filming, we weren't filming obviously, and he's just sitting in his director's chair, and I walked by him, and he gives me this look like, okay, are you gonna talk to me? Okay. Are you gonna talk to me? Because if you're gonna talk to me, it better be fucking important, because I'm sitting here and I am Johnny fucking Depp. But DiCaprio would just sit in between scenes. We were filming in this apartment complex where they had outfitted the first floor.
Can I ask you where J. Edgar was? Is it? Do you only work in LA, or do you ever travel significantly?
Just LA usually. There's
Okay,
been
so I
times
didn't
like
realize it was shot in LA.
like 2 weeks ago I had to go up to Palmdale to use my motorcycle in a JPEG Mafia video. Look for it. So
JPEG me.
So I've never heard of JPEG Mafia, but if you want to look him up, he's a rap artist. Anyway, so sometimes you got to go like 50 miles north, but they do something called a travel pay bump, and then you get money for that. But J. Edgar was filmed it was like East Los Angeles, a little bit east of downtown, in a kind of a random, mostly Latino neighborhood, and they had outfitted the first floor so that when we run in, it was the 1920s, I think, and they threw a flash grenade and they arrest some guy, and we were just, we went in there, we stormed it, they shot the door up, and it was some squibs, and then they threw the flash cannon, and that was basically the whole scene for the day. So while we're not shooting and everybody's like, okay, cut, and then you just like, DiCaprio would sit on a chair, like one of the chairs that was part of the set, not a director's chair, but he would just sit there and just go like this, like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, I'm into my character, or I thought he was, but then I saw the movie. And
I know. He looks ridiculous in everything. He never looks. He looks, whether it's Catch Me If You Can, he looks ridiculously. When he plays a tough guy, it's laughable. I fucking grow a vagina. My skin crawls when he tries to act tough. It is his best work is like Gilbert Grape and This Boy's Life, and that's it. He's ridiculous.
Does the vagina go away when you grow it, or does it stay?
Yes. It goes away.
It goes away?
Yes,
okay.
It just teleports to Asteroid X. Hey,
anyway,
was that the tone on the set? Like, was everybody kind of like, when he's not around, like, what is fucking guy's deal? Like, because you said Armie Hammer was a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, because there's like 3 of us, right? And we're all playing federal agents, and we're standing outside in like a courtyard. From what I remember, this is 2011, so it was 12 years ago now. So we're standing outside in a courtyard, and we've got these little things in our ears that are going to prevent us from blowing an ear cap, and they're flesh colored, and they're little soft things. Anyway, so I couldn't really hear him well. But before we go in to do the scene and blow up the door with a machine gun and throw a flash grenade in there, before we go in, Armie Hammer says to me, and to everybody, he's like, "Hi, I'm Armie. Hi, I'm Armie. Hi, I'm Armie," and introduced himself before we start the scene.
Hey, he was Lone Ranger, for Christ's sake. He was second on Depp's call sheet in Lone Ranger.
You're right. I can't believe you know so much about Johnny Depp. That's
By the way, is Armie Hammer like 6'7"?
He's tall, yeah.
Okay,
but he drove Vespa to the set.
Oh wow!
And it had like stickers on it and stuff. You could tell he was invested in that Vespa.
That's
anyway,
cool, man.
Yeah, he was a totally nice guy. I can't say anything bad about him. Now, DiCaprio, again, the word unapproachable.
Yep.
When you're just looking down, your co-star is shaking everybody's hand before you start the scene. He's just looking down like, fuck you. I just want to get this scene done, get away from these people, get back to my trailer. And I mean, that's one speculating what he's thinking, but he's definitely not a very cordial, inviting, warm type of actor.
He would only talk to Clint Eastwood. If that's...
I heard him say Clint once. Hey, Clint.
Yeah.
He's very non-talkative, and I see him, and I see like.
Go
ahead. No, I see him in interviews, DiCaprio in interviews, and I can tell his fake era. He's trying to be so suave and debonair and nice and positive, and it's so fake, you guys. That is so fake.
Did you ever see the footage we played on here a few times of him in the West Village with Jonah Hill, and they were being approached by 40 people, and he wouldn't even turn his head. It would take so little to just take a picture, say hello, or sign an autograph, and he blew off 40 people in a row, and then a cute chick came by, and they suddenly got their attention. Jonah Hill was worse or as bad as he was. Like, Jonah Hill was almost as bad as he was. Trained to sort of not even like you're just beneath me. You are
Acknowledge.
just you peon. You don't exist. He's had it too good.
Everybody's down here, brother. They're up here.
Yes. He needs to come up into the worst way. He needs to be humbled. He's had it too good for too long with that Scorsese shit. He's so overrated. I can't stress enough.
Right.
He doesn't even look or sound Italian. It's like Scorsese just cast him because the last name has 1,000 vowels and it's ridiculously Italian sounding. He never looks the part. I couldn't agree more with you. Thank you for that. Sunflower Dragon says, I'm shocked he even knows her first name. Hannah. Horatius 763. Alec worked on sets for 40 years. He knew better. Ridiculous for him to act like he didn't know. I agree. Lauren Marie again. He says, I got a call. Missed most of the show. Damn it. I have to go back and listen. Thank you, Lauren. No, thank you for showing up at all. We love you. We love that you're back. If the reports are true, Alec knew they were shooting guns on set when not filming is against the rules also. He's also culpable as a producer and longtime industry player. Yes, he is. That is his first order of business to get that shit together. He's the producer. He gets all the money, and with that comes responsibility, Horatius. You're right. Marta says, a plea deal will be the only time to get some kind of house arrest or community control. If found guilty at trial, judges tend to give more the minimum sentence. I wonder if it's celebritydom, he can get some kind of weird public service or some kind of, just exporting him as a celebrity to do community service. But I honestly think that the prosecutors in New Mexico are going to shoot that down, no pun intended, because they know that he's going to play the celebrity card, and they have been preparing for this for months.
Yeah. Does he have a record? Does he have any convictions on his record? Did he ever punch paparazzi?
There's been dust ups. I don't think he's ever been actually arrested for anything, but there's been dust ups with paparazzi and fans and shit. And so I don't believe he's ever been arrested. Okay, let's go back to this.
I don't remember their names.
Okay. Do you know what they look like?
J-Peg is a nice guy.
Blonde, thin, not too short, kind of medium height, and brunette, someone on the shorter side, maybe the same height as Hannah, brunette, and also there's you go back and forth between. They're wearing a mask most of the time on set.
Thanks for that story, Johnny. That was excellent.
I've seen them with their masks off.
Hollywood dirt. I love it.
All right. What time did you guys start today?
I don't know what time they started. I came in slightly later because they had a couple of shots without me in the morning, so I came in at, I guess I arrived there at like about 7:45.
Okay.
Thank you. So it's 7:45 in the morning. He arrives at set. Autobot. This is definitely worth asking. You know, him and the fucking young. I'm so tired. I think he's gay too, by the way. How many young girls did he have on set? Is any kind of groupies hanging around, or is any whiff of that? He's keeping that on the DL. Okay.
I just remember his trailer was not even a trailer. Do you know like these tiny houses that are really long?
Yeah, like a manufactured home or something.
That's what it looked like, and it had a huge projection screen TV in it. You could see it from the outside, and I was like, that is the epitome of a waste, you know? Because I want to make my own. I wrote a movie, and I'm trying to get it made, and you got to allocate every freaking dollar. Okay. That is such a fucking waste. I mean,
you could house Skid Row on the trailer demands he probably had on that movie. I bet.
Well, I remember Will Smith did a movie in New York not too long ago, and I think it was like Bad Boys 3 or something, or Men in Black 3, and they took up like 3 city blocks just for his fucking trailer, and there's this huge outcry. Like, dude, you don't need to do that. You don't need that. You're filming a movie. I get it. You need a place to relax. You need a regular trailer. It's fine. But these stars get it in their head that they have to have this insane luxury on set. And it really does come back to like,
another
it's not a good look,
Johnny. He's been famous since he was 15. Like, he just doesn't know regular life on any level. DiCaprio's the same thing. Only been a kid actor. He's only acted. He's never had a regular job. He does not know civilian life on any level. He's only been in Hollywood. There's nothing. Doesn't relate to anybody.
The touch.
Only on there at like 6:30.
All right. And then anything abnormal in the day? Who handed you your weapon in the day? Hannah did. Okay. And physically handed or put it in the holster?
Handed it to me.
Okay.
She would show me the gun.
Okay.
Or she'd say, cold gun.
I knew it. I knew
She'd
it.
say,
I knew it. I
test
knew
it,
it.
or some language to indicate, as she handed me the gun, that it was fine. And she'd say, do you want to check?
Cold gun.
And I always didn't want to insult her. I said, because we never had a problem.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm good. So, and the first AD...
He didn't check it. He didn't check it. You hear what he said? He goes, she goes, did you check it? He said, rewind that. She goes, did you check it? And he goes, no, I'm good. Dude, he just fucking incriminated himself.
Normally I'm there at like 6:30.
All right.
Now remember it, Johnny. It's 17:10 or something like that in the video. If the trial goes to this.
And then anything abnormal in the day? Who handed, or should I say, who handed you your weapon in the day?
Hannah.
Hannah did. Okay. And physically handed or put it in the holster?
Handed it to me.
Okay.
She would show me the gun.
Okay.
Or she'd say, cold gun. She'd say, test it, or some language to indicate, as she handed me the gun, that it was fine. And she'd say, do you want to check? Okay. And I always didn't want to insult her. I said, because we never had a problem.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm good. So, and
you
the
hear
first
that?
AD...
Yep. No, I'm good. I'm good. I didn't hear what he said before that, but he goes, no, I'm good. She goes, did you check it? No, I'm good.
Johnny.
That's very important.
Great catch. I mean, how do you gloss over that? Wouldn't just go to that on the first day. There you go. Guilty.
Because on J. Edgar, when they handed our guns, he goes, here, check it. You look. They make you look. And he goes, but don't point at anybody. The only time you're ever to take this out is when we're shooting the scene. Do you understand? I said, yeah. He goes, okay. Like they show it to you.
What do you need more than that evidence?
And it had, I think it was, the barrel was full. It didn't even matter though.
I don't know how they don't need that. That's it. Case closed. He's guilty. You're right.
She said, did you check it? Did you check? No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Like he just fucking incriminated himself big time. I'm not going to be surprised if his lawyer, or excuse me, this state lawyers bring this up where he said that. Because you were supposed to fucking check that fucking gun, even if it's a double check, because of course the armorer is going to or if they're any worth their salt and they're doing their job, they're going to hand you a truly cold gun.
They're going to try to. He's going to try to walk it back. He's going to go, "Oh, I meant that I didn't check. I checked it the first time, and I handed it back."
He's the fucking moron who went in there without a lawyer.
Yep.
Just a big ego and a fucking. It's his. They just gave him rope and he's hanging himself. That's it.
Man, I didn't. I mean, you really got to tune in. And again, it's not. You can hear it. It's definitely not. But it's like what do you call it? The pinhole.
He said something before that. He said something unintelligible before that. I didn't catch it both times.
He does that thing where he goes, and then.
Yeah, it's like.
Forget about live rounds of bullets. When Sulfur, I said, because we never had a problem.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm good. So when Sulfur, he handed me the gun, said it was fine.
He said, I didn't want to insult her. I didn't think it would be a problem, so I said, I'm good. So is he saying that I checked it, but I didn't want to tell her that I checked it? Like he's
from what he's talking very fast, but from what I just heard those 2 times you ran it, if you want to run it again, feel free.
Yeah.
She says, "Did you check it?" And he's like, he says something unintelligible, like, no, like you know.
I didn't want to insult her, so I didn't.
Cold gun. She'd say, test it, or some language to indicate, as she handed me the gun, that it was fine. And she'd say, do you want to check? Okay. And I always didn't want to insult her. I said, because we never had a problem.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm good.
She said, so he's saying that Hannah said to him, you want to check it, test it.
Right.
No, I'm good. I don't know how are the tells to take that. Right? How else do you take that?
Like it's almost like
the first AD.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's like he's incriminating himself, but not intentionally. Like he
doesn't know the ramifications, right? He doesn't know he hasn't been pronounced dead yet, so he's just spitting stuff out. He really thinks this is a nothing burger at this point.
Will ask periodically. He'll say, "Let me check."
Okay.
And they'll have 2 people check for this very reason that we don't have any. Forget about live rounds of bullets. That we have any flash rounds in the gun while we're rehearsing. Because if someone wants to indicate, and they're not thinking, they pull the trigger on the gun, you just hear the hammer, the dead sound of the hammer hitting, and you have no flash rounds at all in there for the rehearsal. The rehearsal gun should be empty.
Okay.
And as I said, for the 2 weeks I've been shooting, it has been empty. We haven't had one problem.
And you have you physically checked that, or just by?
She announces to me that it's clean.
Okay.
She'll say, cold gun, we rehearse. Then when she's done, she takes the gun, goes off to a corner. She has a kit, like a zip fanny pack, with her elements in there. She puts the flash rounds in there.
He's memorized her fanny pack, but doesn't know her last name. That's an interesting.
She'll say, quarter load, but it's a lower sound, or she'll say full load. And if you're the crew and you're shooting me close, even if I say the full load, it is rather loud. It's very loud.
Okay.
She's always announcing what's going to happen.
All right.
And she's been very good about that.
So have you guys?
So he's got Hannah. He
did not double check the fucking weapon like you're supposed to. He just said, "No, I'm good."
He's complimenting her too. There, he said she's been very good about double checking everything. What else do you need?
Arm. It's almost like a triple check. If two people check it and then the actor's supposed to check it, that's a triple check. Now, if she just checks it and he says, "No, I'm good. I've trusted you up until now," that's a failure. Okay, because for whatever reason there was something lodged in his bullet. So if he would have double checked it a second time, she'd probably still be alive. That woman.
Absolutely. No doubt.
And they are going to take that if those prosecutors in New Mexico really listen to this tape like we are, okay, they might catch that. I don't know. Maybe this show will have some kind of impact.
You only got to go a couple minutes in. You only got to go a couple minutes in to catch it. God knows what we haven't heard yet that we're sort of hyper tuned in now, right? I mean, he might even go further with it,
right?
If he had just not
well,
talked.
You know
to
what?
Right
maybe the reason I'm going to go this far. Those prosecutors in New Mexico have watched this many times. Okay,
no
they're
doubt.
not stupid, so they probably caught that. And him saying that he didn't double check it, saying it was a very quickly thing. He's like, I'm good. Remember that? You just played it a couple times.
Yes.
Okay, so they that's why they're probably moving forward because he didn't double check it when you're supposed to. He's a producer on this movie as well as the actor. Okay, there were mad. Things that went wrong. I can't remember. I can't. There were lapses in judgment, and it's going to cost him.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have taken much. It's not like it's the super. God damn it! It's not a massive cast and crew. It would take so little to have so
5
many
seconds.
people. Yeah, how many chefs do you need to check a fucking gun? Like I said again, why they even need anything resembling a real gun is the most. I'm not going to say the R word. It just
backwards
befuddling, right? What's it backwards?
Even better.
What is it backwards?
I was saying instead of retarded, backwards.
Oh, okay. Sunflower Dragon. Frank, Kazi said good morning to me. I'm saying I need my attorney. I'm not even saying good morning to you. That's right. Kathy Scott. Why would you even have live runs up? That's the big question, Kathy. How someone slipped in, and this is probably going to be Alec's backup alibi, is like that somebody. There's going to be some conspiracy out to get him that they wanted Alec to be just out of the business and they slipped in live ammunition that he would shoot.
Well, Hannah's in jail for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. So those live rounds, she was responsible for those, but there's a stopgap. And when you do double checks, it's not that hard. Like you just said, to look in a gun, 5 to 10 seconds and be like, oh, wow, I caught this. I'm glad I caught this. That's why you do double checks, because you have Nepo babies who are there only because their father was left the legacy. And then this person is not fucking qualified, but yet they're still there. So they go by for 2 weeks, but then something slips up and somehow that gun was loaded. On a double check, when you have a very responsible actor who's taking their fucking shit seriously and producing the movie at the same time, you're going to do a double check. He said, no, I'm good. And that's where he fucked up. And now he's trying to blame the weapon, saying it went off by itself after he cocked it. No. No one believes that. No one believes that. And that's the crux of this issue. That's what we should be focusing on.
You get this movie, this little movie that's not even out yet, maybe never will get released, is going to change the industry in so many ways. And we talked about before how the whole fucking production, and there's so many, when you read movie credits, right? There's just credits roll. Tons of people they employ in these sets, and nobody could properly check this gun. It's crazy. Like the credits never stop. The credits seem to go for 10 minutes on and on. All these names, and nobody could triple check this gun. And all these people ruin their lives and career.
Triple check. It didn't get double checked. A double check could have been a double check. I mean, triple check might be over the top, but when you're dealing with something with guns, can you really ever be that careful?
It's going to change the industry in so many ways. And one of the ways is, I think, because you brought up Nepo baby, I think it's going to stymie the Nepo babydom now. They're going to be like, no, we're not going to do Gutierrez here. I think the Nepo baby stuff might be in check from this, like, because that's how she got hired, right? I think I think you're gonna see cronyism and it'll never be stamped out entirely, but it definitely will be thought twice and 3 times now.
I'll throw Alec Baldwin a bone right now and say, okay, for 2 weeks, it was smooth sailing, we'll say, and everything seemed to be okay. So he got a little lax, but you can't get a little lax with guns, not with guns. And especially if you're fucking pointing them and the barrel is empty or the barrel's not filled. Because when a barrel is filled, it's never going to go off.
He doesn't deal with them enough to respect it. It's not something he does often, so he just doesn't even respect it.
He got lax. You know, he got comfortable with this newbie Nepo baby on set who's the armorer, and he didn't double check it. And now he's paying the price. Someone's dead. Someone else got shot. 2 people got shot. One's dead. All because he didn't double check it. I'm sorry. I have no pity for you, Alec Baldwin.
It's not even just the deaths. Like I said, it's the death of people's careers that came on this movie. He destroyed, I don't know, dozens of people that are just no longer in the industry and said, I can't do this anymore. I'm so traumatized by this. I'm never going through that again. He destroyed many, many careers and lives, meaning just in terms of where the trajectory of, and he'll always be fine. But I can't. When you watch the original trial, I was really like sad. There are people testifying, going, I'm a substitute teacher now. I'm never going back to this industry. I'm suing them. And there's like, God, there must have been at least a dozen people that testified like that.
Well, I'm so glad the tactics are in place that these cops, you know, psychological tactics that, like, do you remember they left him alone in the beginning? Like, do you remember what he said? He goes, I don't want to be a public person anymore.
That's the way to
handle it. Did you hear him say that?
Yes.
Well, that's a very nervous. Well, no, of course he didn't. But I mean, it's his mindset at the time, and it's a window into his thinking. And he's thinking, I don't want to be a public person anymore. It's like, it doesn't fucking work that way, dude. You're gonna have to answer for your fucking sloppy ass set work with guns. Okay.
Yep.
I'm getting into this, man. I'm getting like,
that's why I was able to watch the whole damn thing. I just, you know, obviously I'm a vested interest in Alec as it is.
Well, I'm emotionally invested.
Yeah, that's why again, thank you for responding at such a last minute thing. I knew something just clicked in my mind. Like, God damn it, ask Johnny Myers. He's been on 1,000 sets. He's the guy for this. Him and Gene Canada and those guns. I mean, couldn't have asked a better guy. And thank you again for that J. Edgar Hoover story, because I have always, you do not have to twist my arm to piss on DiCaprio. I do it all the time on the Deppening, and I'm so ardent about how overrated he is. I cannot. Asshole he is on set.
We're very much on the same page when it comes to Leonardo DiCaprio. But
yes,
I don't spend my time hating or being angry. I know you do. For me, it's a wasted emotion. You know, like, I'll hate poverty, I'll hate injustice, but a fucking stupid actor like Leonardo DiCaprio, I don't. It's not my. It's not on my radar. You know, it's not.
That's why you're not in therapy and you're not on 150 milligrams of Effexor.
Oh, Jesus.
Backtracking a little bit on this, you know, because she's telling you what's in these guns.
One last thing. I'm sorry. So Sunflower Dragon's bringing up scuba. Yeah, this is like being in a diving movie, right? Scuba tank, nitrex mixes. You can tell me it's checked if you want. I'm breathing it, so I'm going to check it again. It's such a great comparison.
Very good analogy.
You guys been practicing with those quarter loads, the full loads, all that through the past couple weeks, or have you shot with them?
I came in on Tuesday. That's what I did Tuesday, the 12th. I came to the ranch, rode the horse. I just got used to that, and because they have a double who really rides in the distance up really fast.
It was a cold horse.
Athleticism, you see me on the horse, and I cut to a watch, and another guy riding was a little horse.
Okay.
It was quite a crew of them.
So today was not the first day that...
No, I shot on Tuesday the 12th with the Henry, the lever, arm action lever, the lever action rifle, and the pistol. I just shot both.
Okay. And all right, moving back forward. What time did you guys break for lunch today?
Usually, I think today was able to break at 12:30.
Okay.
That actually is lunch. 12:30,
and
right?
who took
First time they've ever used it, right?
Hannah.
Physically took it.
Always does. Rarely do the other ladies.
So Hannah takes the gun from him as they go to quote unquote lunch at 12:30. This is his alibi right now, even though he's already incriminated himself.
2 other women handled the pistol that was live shooting in the scene. As I said, I have the Henry in my hand as a prop. I'd be running through the scene, but no bullets, nothing. When they'd say cut, I could hand it to the blonde girl.
Okay.
But whenever we were interacting with somebody where rounds were going to go in the gun, you would have flash rounds in the scene. We shot flash rounds. It was only Hannah.
Thank you, Kathy.
With her fanny pack with the rounds in there, her equipment.
Okay. Do you know what time you guys got back from lunch?
My guess is 1:30 by the time we all get.
Yeah, the water's refilling itself.
There's a
It's
base
only
camp.
16 ounces. Still
And there's
drinking.
the set. So we go to the base camp for lunch. They always just drive back, get their wardrobe touched up.
Is base camp a term on movies, Johnny?
Yes, yes. You
That's
have
a
a
real-
base
that's-
camp, and then you go to your shooting location. But your base camp is where you like feed everybody and where like the trucks are, and yeah.
It's again more nomenclature. Base camp. Can't just that's.
Their hair touched up and makeup, whatever we do, and then we're on set. About an hour. Well, before we
Let me know.
Okay.
That would be great if he was on
And
Cameo.
Was Hannah the one to physically?
He
hand
won't
you the
even
gun
do
at that
like
point?
late night interviews, Melvin. DiCaprio.
During the time that you had it, was it ever handed off
That's
to
how
anybody
charmed
else?
a wife he has.
Okay.
Let me see that again.
We have flash rounds in the scene. We shot flash rounds. It was only Hannah.
Okay.
Only. With her fanny pack with the rounds in there, her equipment.
Okay. Do you know what time you guys got back from lunch?
My guess is 1:30 by the time we all get back to the set up.
1 hour.
There's a base camp, and there's the set. So we go to the base camp for lunch. They always just drive back, get their wardrobe touched up, get their hair touched up and makeup, whatever we do, and then we're on set. About an hour before we go back on the set.
Okay. And was Hannah the one to physically hand you the gun at that
Yes.
point? Okay. During the time that you had it, was it ever handed off to anybody else?
No.
Okay. Did you see where she got the gun from?
No.
This has to be crazy for him, Johnny. He's being interrogated by 2 women who are probably half his age, at least.
Right.
And it's probably crazy that he's going in his mind going through this. His daughter Haley is what, 25 now, 26.
Right.
It's probably so surreal to him to be interrogated by someone half his age and female. That's just, the ego he has to see this.
Yeah.
It's got to be bizarre. And you could tell he's getting super confident. He's trying to steamroll them. He's sort of like answering the question almost too quick. No, yes, no, yeah.
She has a station somewhere with all her stuff.
Okay.
The elements.
It's like now when you get pulled over by a cop, like
guns for the other
it's a
actors.
24-year-old pulling you over, like
Is anybody else allowed in that
Justin
area?
Timberlake.
I don't know, but I
That
know
dude's
that on the-
17 years younger
I've
than
never
Justin
seen anything
Timberlake.
Out of the ordinary. She had like sometimes they have a cart, like almost like if you were using like a hospital catering. There's like a big plastic tray, a dark plastic tray, 2 levels and wheels. I
Alec
think that's what she
knows
had, but many of the departments have that. And on that tray would be
hospital
her,
catering.
or something like that. I don't recall.
His mom was in
but they have a station that they bring to
Stony
the
Brook
set
Hospital.
for her to put all of her stuff. And if the weather is
Carol Baldwin.
cooperative, and sometimes they put it under a tent if it looks like it might rain and might even damage the property. But she has a little place she would go to, and I think she has a truck.
He's
where she
telling
goes when they
him
wrap
everything,
it,
but giving him nothing.
Everything except her last name. He knows her entire schedule. She knows where she goes during lunch, but he doesn't know her last name. Go ahead, Johnny. You about to say something? I'm sorry.
Well, Melvin asked me what kind of craft services. What do they have? By the way,
I was
hi,
thinking that
Kathy
too.
Scott.
I was thinking that too.
It depends on the budget because when I was writing my movie and figuring out, I'm not a filmmaker, but I thought I was for a while. I read some books, and basically the minimum that you have to put on everybody's head for feeding them is $5.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood, that's the minimum. A low budget indie will be $5 per person for food.
Is that why you hear about like donuts and
years ago.
bagels all the time, Johnny? It's always like donuts is the reference.
So
service.
you have to set aside how many heads are you gonna have to feed. Let's say there's 40 people on the crew. including actors. Okay, you got to have food for 40 people. How much do you want to spend per head? Okay,
Right.
you can spend 5 minimum. That's shitty ass pizza and fucking Capri Sun, and then you're gonna go up to like I said, Clint Eastwood spends $10,000 a day on food. So you get a choice of 3 meats. You get like chicken, steak, fish. Then you get 3 different kinds of salads. Then you get like a smoothie. What kind of smoothie do you want? That's the best I've ever eaten on a set on J. Edgar and Jersey Boys, both Clint Eastwood directed. Let me drop some names for a sec. And so so depending on the budget is going to be the craft service table. Like I just went over, I just did like a music video where they used my motorcycle. I wasn't even in it. Okay, but it's called New Sensations. It's a Lou Reed cover, and the name of the group is Automatic. So my motorcycle's in that video. I don't think they've released the video yet. Anyway, so they just had like a cooler full of like maybe Red Bull and waters, and then they have some snacks. They'll have like some healthy, like there'll be bananas and apples, and then there'll be like Doritos. They'll buy one of those big like 24 bags of like small Doritos and all Frito-Lays, and
Yes.
you know, I think Mark Hamill said it. He said, you know, if you're watching your weight on a set, what do you think is going to be better for your weight? Bagel and cream cheese or an apple?
Right.
It's kind of a no-brainer. But so you can eat healthy on a set. There'll be healthy options, and then there'll be unhealthy options, and it's up to you. You know. So
And how much is the food out? Is it omnipresent? Like, does it go away? Does it stay out the whole time you're shooting?
I just did a commercial for Lucabra. Like it was all in Spanish, and it was for a law firm, right? That specialized in auto accidents. Okay, you'll be seeing it soon. And so what they did there is at the end, the director, this guy named Paul, he said, I heard him. He goes, I want pizza when we're done wrap. So like it was like 20 minutes before we were about to wrap the filming, and all of a sudden, right before we're about to wrap, they come in with about 24 pizzas, and they just bring them over because it's kind of and they had a big budget on it. It was a commercial. So I know what you're trying to say. Like, how often do you eat? It's you're
Right.
you're
It's
at
sitting
the
out there the
whim.
whole time.
When you take a lunch break, and then it'll all be set up, and it's very quick, and usually have like they either bring in stuff or they'll have a cook, depending on the budget. They'll have a cook there with a truck. Okay, I remember I did 50 Shades of Black with kind of came and went. I think it was Damon Wayans, and he had hired a little cappuccino. Like, you know how like a truck will pull like a trailer, but it's not a full trailer.
Yeah,
it's like a food trailer.
Right.
It's like, so it was like these cappuccino and like frappe. It was so fucking good. But I remember going up to him after. I go, hey man, thanks for that cappuccino truck. That was like amazing. And he looks at me and he goes, this is Damon Wayans, or no, Marlon Wayans. He looks at me and he goes, no problem, man. So I was really appreciative. So again, it all depends on the budget. If it's a low budget indie, you're probably just gonna get like maybe Coca-Cola cans and maybe that. If it's a high budget Clint Eastwood film, he's spending 10 grand, you're gonna eat like a king.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
You should have called Marlon Wayans a Nepo baby. And
Stop.
The Wayans brothers were the poster children for Nepo babies for a long
That's
time. It was always...
Well, there's Dynasty family, and then there's like Legacy family, and then there's like I think Nepo babies.
And then there's the cast of Living Color.
You know who's a Nepo baby, a quintessential Nepo baby? She came out and said she denounced it and said it's just to degrade and it's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, people don't realize. You're absolutely right. That's right. It doesn't come up a lot.
Well, do you think she would have gotten Halloween if her dad wasn't who he was?
No, it don't.
There you go.
No,
there you go.
Not at all.
So she came out and denounced it and said, oh, it's only meant to degrade and denigrate people. And it's like, okay, well, because you are one, you could just admit it and say, yeah, I took advantage of it and I'm glad I'm here. I'm grateful. And people will forgive you, but or not forgive you, but people will understand and have more empathy towards you. I think if you come out and admit, yes, I'm a Nepo baby, I took advantage of it, and I'm here because partially that and partially my talent, people will be like, okay, cool. But if you say, oh, it's just meant to degrade and denigrate, I'm not sure her exact language, but she was like all, very, very curt and, dismissive.
Before I get to Melvin's question, I want to ask you this before we get back to Alec. you know, you hear about, I think a lot of people don't know in the industry, and it took me years before I realized this, and you don't know this is stuff they don't want civilians to know. So like someone like DiCaprio, right? He gets his salary, and what do you suppose he made on that? 10 million on J. Edgar?
At least,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll go with 8 figures. They also get per diem in addition to the salary. So it's set up where a guy like him doesn't have to spend a dime of his own money on anything as, let's say, they shoot for 3 months. What is the per diem for a guy like him?
It depends on if it's worked into the contract. Like you could get okay, let's say he got $5 million
Ballpark for us.
Well, $5 million for J. Edgar. So it's a 3-week shooting schedule. Your per diem, if it's in the contract this way, is going to eventually be at the end of all those days of shooting, $5 million, whatever you're guaranteed.
Oh my
now
God.
It could be
so that's tacked on to his already 8-figure salary.
Well, it depends on if you're getting points. You know what points are, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Of the gross, and those are going to come till later. Those are later. Those are tomorrow's payments. You know what I'm saying?
Was DiCaprio considered a producer on J. Edgar?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he's going into producing anytime soon, or I don't think he ever has. I'm not sure. I'm ignorant.
No,
he is.
He's all over shit now. He is.
But like, okay, Jack Nicholson and Madonna, they did. Jack Nicholson did the first Batman for points and percentage of the you know, the Burger King value meals and all this shit. The merch. Yeah. So he said, I'll do it for scale, but I want some points and some merch money. That's my Jack Nicholson.
And I didn't even know what that was. Points was back then.
No, it was new. It was a new concept.
89. Yeah.
Now they had been giving it to. They gave it like Jesus. George Lucas gave like, I think like a 0.5% of Star Wars to like Spielberg or somebody.
Right.
It kept that person like rich for years. So it's not an unheard of practice, but it's just the studios are pretty possessive about that money because they put all this money.
Machio got it for Karate Kid.
Did he?
I swear to God, I thought I heard that a few times. That Machio had some weird, I don't know, some foresight that would, and he actually had a piece of Karate Kid.
Well, Madonna did Dick Tracy, and I think,
right.
And this was just when this was like kind of a gamble. So I heard she did it for scale, which would have been about $500 a day back then. Who knows? But mad percentage points of the merch and the back end if the movie made money. So and they made out like bandits. So those have been incorporated into contracts over the last couple of decades of like big stars who are like, okay, yeah, I'll take a pay cut, but I want some points. Or they'll say, yeah, I'll take a pay cut, and because I like the script so much, I don't care that I'm only getting $1 million instead of $5 million because I like the script so much and I want to spread the money around and I want the movie to get made. A lot of times they have to concede that, come down to that if you want to get the movie made, you know.
Think about, we thought Deppening Pirates that was his fortune came from that, you know, after the 03 came on out and all of that. Think about the points Artie Lang had on Beer League, right? Think about Stuttering John and One Too Many. That's why he's set for life. God knows that keeps mailbox money, as Jackie calls it. Hey, yeah, Melvin wants to know, Johnny, do they have breakfast in an 18-hour shooting day? You'd have to have free meals, right?
Okay, if you go 18 hours, that's happened to me one time. Okay, when 18 hours, it's called gold time, and you make your daily rate per hour in gold time. So if you're making $244 for the day, if you're like an extra on a commercial, this is when it happened with me. I ended up walking out after 18 hours with like a $900 check, and I was on a $244 base. If that makes sense. Yeah. So I mean, but listen, if you shot an 18-hour day, by your 18th hour, you're like, oh, you're falling asleep. Yeah. You're like, okay, I want to go home.
That's and meanwhile, why they say stand-up comedians can't handle movie sets because it's all about them and their attention span sucks and they can't deal with a day like that.
And as far as intervals to eat, the law in California, I don't know about other states, is they have to feed you after 4 hours on set or working after 4 hours. They have to give you a 15-minute break after 3.5, but they have to. Now, the way around it is you get something called a meal penalty. If they don't feed you after 4 hours, you get your meal penalty, and the penalty is your hourly rate. So if you're getting $20 an hour and they don't feed you till 5 hours in, then they owe you $20. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely does. But there's so much caveats in the the language of the contracts, you and the Screen Actors Guild and shit that you guys have. Yeah, I mean, I guess you need that union to protect yourself, so you get shit like that. Because God knows how it was, whatever, 40 years ago. You probably wasn't
Right.
even any of that.
Yeah.
Redeem-
Well,
car rides to the set, right, Melvin? Right, airfare, hotels, all that shit, right?
mhm.
We don't know the half. We don't know what these. I mean, Johnny knows more than we do, but it's so crazy. Someone like DiCaprio. Johnny says he ballparked that he's probably walking away if he doesn't spend that per diem. He just keeps it, right?
I mean, the per diem might be something written into the contract where, like, a lot of times a per diem is like, if let's say you're out in a strange location, right? A remote location. They're going to give you money each day so they don't have to feed you on the set. That's called a per diem each day. And it's allocated or set aside for like food or some kind of walking around money that you need for that day, because they don't have like a base camp set up where they're going to be able to feed you and stuff like that. So they have to give you a per diem. There's something called a walk away lunch too, where you walk away. After 4 hours, you get a walk away lunch, but
Never heard
you got to
of that.
walk away. Yeah, you got to walk away and buy your own food. Now that's usually
my
for
God.
like extra. Yeah, that's extra cattle calls or stuff like that. Or they'll pay for it. They'll give you a per diem, a small stipend to go get some food. Those are usually on like extra big cattle calls. I don't really do those anymore.
That's phenomenal. Thank you for
I'm
that.
above
That's
that.
a phenomenal A to Z and play by play of how it goes down. I never would have heard that if you didn't say that. I've always wondered that shit. Seriously, I don't
Yeah.
think people know anything that goes on during that. I love that's good inside stuff. Thank you for that, Johnny.
No problem.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't even think of the irony. Right, Alec is telling the cops how to handle guns. Isn't that funny? That's so true. Kathy Scott and Sunflower Dragon tag teaming on that. Autobot, yes. So I guess John Candy got offered points for a brief scene he had in Home Alone, and he turned it down, and he just did it as a favor. There's probably a
Right.
million stories like that. And there's so much regret with points. Those stories are endless. Should I make a joke
Vincent
about
Price,
someone
Vincent Price was on Thriller, right?
Yeah.
The album.
did the voiceover? Yeah.
Okay,
for
remember
sure.
he spoke.
Yep.
He did it for free. And Eddie Van Halen did it for free.
Oh, did he really?
His solo. He went in. Listen, it was like 1982. They weren't on tour. Eddie Van Halen, the whole Van Halen had an unwritten rule that we don't work on other people's projects. All the other members of the band were out of town. He got a call from Quincy Jones. He said, "Yeah, I'll go down." He went down for 20 minutes. He did his part, and then he said, "You know what Eddie Van Halen said he was just doing? I was just trying to help a local black kid out."
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen got the guitar in that is like half the fucking star of the goddamn song. And like I don't always say that. It's you get him, and that guy was deity in the 80s to any kid, not even just the generation before Generation X, the late baby boomers, people who sort of born like in the 60s and shit. He was everyone's guitar hero. It wasn't even a question.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
But
I can't tell you how big he was.
He was huge. And Vincent Price, I just saw an interview with Vincent Price, and old interview, obviously, and he's talking about the interviewer asked him, "So you're on Thriller, right?" And he's like, "Oh yes, I am, and I just got a plaque, and it was 30 million albums sold, and it was signed. Thank you, Vincent, for your work on Thriller, Michael Jackson. And it's a shame because I did it for free."
you want me to bring this home back to Depp?
Yeah.
Okay. Vincent Price was in Edward Scissorhands, and obviously you remember the scene where he's his dad. He's making Edward. In the castle.
Yes.
Michael Jackson was offered Scissorhands before Depp was.
You told me that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
You'd mentioned that before.
Tom Cruise,
yeah.
Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, and the only reason Depp got it is because Tracy Jacobs' agent went to art school with Tim Burton, and that's how it never comes
he
up.
was like third or fourth choice.
Yeah. Gary Oldman got offered it. Jim Carrey got offered it. Robert Downey Jr. Jim Carrey was after Depp. That's a Fox connection because Jim Carrey is on Living Color when Depp was on Jump Street. The later years.
All their agents,
know each other.
William Morris, they all are in bed together. They're eating at Jeffrey's on the coast in Malibu.
It's all about the
You You ever been to Jeffries? It's spelled Geoffrys. It's in the movie The Player. That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, like the Toys R Us, spell it Jeffrey.
Yeah.
G-E. Okay.
I'm presuming it's still there. But if you ever come to California and you visit Malibu, I want you to eat at Jeffries. It's a really great place.
I'm coming there soon, actually.
Ocean views. You better call me.
No, I will. I'm going to Burbank soon to visit my cousin.
Cool.
How close are you to Burbank?
Hit me up. 20 miles. Everything's 20 minutes away in LA.
David,
Everything's 20
a lot
minutes
of
away.
people there. David.
But I want to, if you want, I want to show you around Hollywood, like all the cool places to go.
You give me the Jax Taylor fucking Vanderpump Rules store. Yes. Please, Johnny. I'm into that. I'm so into it. Thank you for the offer. Seriously.
I'm down. You got to get out more. Come on.
I know.
I know. Out of that house.
You're right.
Responsibility to secure the prop weapons,
Everything's there.
which are real guns. They're real guns.
Can you actually describe the gun to me?
It's a Colt, a period Colt. In our emails back and forth when we were prepping the film, she showed me just a couple different styles of guns. This is not a big budget movie, so we didn't have a lot of choices. She showed you 3 or 4 choices. I said, give me the biggest gun you've got.
Okay.
And so I didn't. She showed me different guns by email and different knives by email, cruder knives that were made to like someone fashioned the handle out of like elkhorn or things. I took a traditional knife, a leather strap, a handle.
He still has a podcast called Here's the Thing. And that was one of the original overproduced celebrity podcasts where, there's music and interstitials and shit. I don't know. He had Woody Allen on like a few months ago. I didn't listen to it yet, but he just, that he's not fazed by this at all. It is full systems go on the podcast. Would you be able to do if this was hanging over you? Would you be able
he's
to
not still doing a podcast, is he?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Right after this shit hit, he did Dana Carvey and David Spade's Fly on the Wall podcast for like 2.5 hours.
He did a whole press tour after this.
I know. That's
forgive
the
me.
man. That's crazy. I would never be able to do that shit with this hanging.
We went back and forth about the holster and the material, and we just had a relatively brief conversation. I'm having made a lot of movies. I know how not to stress them out about the budget. When she shows me,
I would love to hear
that work. And so she showed me. I said, "Just give me the big Colt." We were done. And
we know you're getting all the money.
That's shot that gun.
Okay. What color is it?
I believe it's a brown handle because she showed me 2.
The budget's $7 million, by the way.
Cherry colored handle, and one had a brown handle, and I chose the brown handle.
You didn't want the cherry.
I could show you my emails and my phone.
Having a good time.
I didn't want the cherry; it was too shiny.
Tell us bombs get dropped.
My character's a little bit in the retirement side of his career, so he's a retired bank robber.
I'd see out in the Wild West cherry.
You need the gun to match.
Well, you always have people in films. I mean, they go to extensive extent. You wouldn't believe some films if they have the budget, the details you go into, of all the things you wear, jewelry, hats, watches, guns, cars. People sit down. I mean, I've made a lot of films, and the films that had bigger budgets, you could spend a whole week going to rehearsal, reading with the director.
This is such pontification, like irrelevant, superfluous pontification.
Yes.
Of just, it comes back that line. You're telling me everything, but giving me nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's bragging about. He's giving you set stories. Yeah. They're going to be so dazzled by it, they're going to forget while they're there.
It's a cop tactic to be like, put him at ease and be like a little jokey. I know it's a serious subject, and the cops know that. But you want to put this guy at ease so he's talkative, so he opens up and he tells you the truth, and there's a little bit of laughter in there, and haha, like your character, haha. Do you see that all this? It's all a cop tactic, man.
Just to appease the dep heads here, Johnny, before I forget. I know I had to have asked you this. Was there any interaction you had with Rocky Brooks on the set of City of Lies, who's the set location guy that Depp supposedly punched in the stomach and did punch him, and I would have hit him harder? Did you have any interaction with?
No, I didn't. I wasn't even aware of that person's existence. So
yeah,
even if I did interact, I wouldn't have known. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But I just remember that set taking an inordinate amount of time to actually shoot. And then once they did, he wasn't a director who yelled action. And
Brad Furman. What do you think of Brad Furman?
Well, I thought that he was probably constrained to his working crew, but it just took so long to film those scenes. And when you did, you didn't even fucking know, because this guy who was in the scene, he started off, I can't remember if he started off on the street, literally the real street corner of Wilshire and Fairfax.
Yeah.
If he started off there and then walked into the thing, that's the scene we filmed. And I think it ended up coming back 2 days. Doing a 1 day turned into 2 day shoot. And then there was just like, I know I used this term before, but there was an undercurrent of disorganization.
Yep,
so
I heard that.
You never really knew when they were taking an inordinate amount of time and a huge budget. You had a guy with a camera on. I remember the camera was on his shoulder, and it was it was like filmed like that. And then when you were shooting, you didn't even know. You just had to like presume, or just, through symbiotic telekinesis. I don't know. They weren't yelling action. Do you understand? So
Speaking
all of
of
a sudden,
points, let me tell you this. So I read from his agent. Depp had to take a pay cut. He was going to not do. He initially wanted $8 million, and the movie couldn't afford it. So they had this back and forth with him, and he had to turn it. I think he went down to $4 million, and that that was able to get the movie made. And I think he was his production company is all over it. Infinitum Niles all over the credits, and he's supposed to get points. The movie made nothing. The movie made no money here. It barely got released, and it was just a disaster. I mean, I love the movie, but it was so difficult to get that thing off the ground. And the director, Brad Furman, actually has a couple of good movies. He's got like 3 good: The Lincoln Lawyer, Infiltrator with Bryan Cranston. And so that's a pretty good troika of movies for him. But I heard. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The original title of that movie was called Labyrinth.
Yes, L.A. Labyrinth. Yes, that was the book title.
So it was being filmed under that name, and I only heard it rebranded as City of Lies like way after the fact.
Yep, years later. Yes, 2 years later.
So
I think they rebranded.
I don't know what that means, but like what they'll do though, some production companies will film like they did. Dangerous Minds was originally called My Posse Don't Do Homework. Okay, now what they do sometimes is they intentionally use a fictional title that's never going to be the original title, just so somebody won't steal the title that they're going to do.
Okay. Yes. Makes some sense. Yes.
It's a tactic that they do.
Depp did a movie called Arizona Dream, and this is like this is a very low movie in his repertoire.
We talked about this.
Yeah,
it's with
it was called
Faye Dunaway.
Yes,
and who's the guy who died? Jerry Lewis.
It was called Arrowtooth Waltz before it was called Arizona Dream, and I would read about it all the time. And then it came out, and all of a sudden it's Arizona Dream, and that cast was in Tom Petty's Into the Great Wide Open video they used for that.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes what a studio will do is, let's say you have a very quirky filmmaker who's they wrote this script, however they got the money. A studio buys it and says, you know what, we love your movie, we like your movie, we're going to buy it, but we get the right to rename it.
How long were you on the City of Lies set?
I think 2 days. It might have been 3, because I think one day, the first day, we sat around all day and didn't shoot anything, and then the next day it was something similar, but we finally got something shot. I mean, they did eventually
you know why
shoot
you
it.
sat around all day, right?
No.
Depp.
You could tell me.
Depp's personal problems is why you sat around all day. That's the thing in the fucking thing. Yeah, that they wasted days because of Depp's personal problems. That's why he was sitting around. You didn't know that?
But Depp wasn't in that scene.
Right, but he made the production wait. See, he fucked up days and days on that production from his personal problems. That's why you were waiting. That's why you wasted days. I swear to God.
I mean, I want to believe you, but you could be wrong. No, I know what you're saying is true, but because he wasn't in that scene, he wasn't there on the set that day. So they're not paying him for that. Remember we went over this? Like they don't. They only pay you for the days that you show up. So if you've got like a 2-week shooting schedule and you need Johnny 3 days, then you got to set those days aside. He was not in this. What I think, again, there was an undercurrent of disorganization. So you have all these people. I remember seeing the guy who was playing Biggie Smalls with this like
back to back view of him.
No, but he had this I don't want to say girdle because that's the opposite, but it was like a metal frame that came out that gave him a bigger stomach. It was like a metal frame.
Yes.
Because the guy, he wasn't as fat. He wasn't as fat as Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls was a big ass dude. So this guy who was playing Biggie Smalls was not as big as him. So they had to give him a metal frame type of apparatus that like gave him a fat stomach.
Was Valletta Wallace Biggie's mom on set when you were there?
No.
She did a scene at the end of the movie. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that was one day of shooting. She was there. Yep. There's not going to be any extras for that. You got to understand how much money goes into shooting a scene with like tons of extras. Okay. You have logistics of like, you have to feed them every 4 hours. You have to give them water. You have to give them a place to go to the bathroom. You have to have all these things set up. And then on top of that, you have to shoot the fucking scene. Right.
Yeah.
And all the stars have to align and everything has to come together. So, and then when you're dealing with that much money, you have a lot of egos and you have a lot of things that, have to go right. The director could be like Brad Furman was probably like a stickler, as they call it. Somebody who's like, I'm not shooting this until everything's fucking set up. And even then I'm going to double check it. Well,
you
maybe
gotta remember,
you should have done that, Alec.
He's a Biggie super fan. So he wants to get it right. Like if you're a super fan of Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G., you want to do his legend right. You want to get everything right. You wouldn't, and Tupac, you wouldn't want to get anything wrong. I mean, I would be the same way. I wouldn't compromise it if that was. I wouldn't. Right. I'd probably be a dick about it.
It's how good art gets made. I mean, there's good art, and then there's semi-good, and then there's mediocre, and then there's shitty art.
Let me tell you, I know you had a small role in that, whatever, but I love that movie. I think it's probably the best thing Depp's done in the last 10 years, and I think it's excellent.
You really think so?
Yeah, I do. In the last 10 years,
it took a long time to get made. Took a long time.
I love it. I thought it was worth.
You know why though? Because they implicate the LAPD. That's why.
That's right. They blocked it. That's exactly right. They the LA Labyrinth originally the title was. It's all about the police corruption and the LAPD and the OJ stuff's weaved into it. I love the movie. Well, I really do.
I think it was called Labyrinth, but the two first letters were
LA.
So it was Labyrinth, but it was LA in capital letters. But the rest was small.
Thank you, Johnny, for that impromptu anecdote I forced out of you. But I'm obsessed with all things City of Lies, and I just needed more. That's as much as you could squeeze out of you for the one day you shot on it. Thank you.
2 days.
2 days. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then once you're done rehearsing the text with the director, the producers, and the writer, when you're done reading, they'll go make amendments. So when they hear it come out of your mouth, they go, "Let's change that line." The way Bob says that, and then they go, then you go right to wardrobe, props.
Oh, you're right.
You go.
We're gonna wrap up soon, Johnny.
Okay. All right. So you get back from lunch, get ready. She hands you the gun. Was this inside or outside?
We're inside the church set.
And was it the first rehearsal that the incident happened?
Yeah, I believe so, because we talked about, as we were going to lunch, we're always talking about what's next.
Okay.
So as we were rehearsing scenes, he said, now I want to do a scene where we've done other shots before lunch. He said, when we come back from lunch, we'll do this. And he said,
David says, it'd be funny if he starts confessing to other things he did, like how Kim Basinger was able to buy a town in the 90s and just audits his ex-wife. God, Kim Basinger's, her life is so post-Alec. She's so mysterious now. Like you never hear from her. I can't remember the last thing I've seen her in. Kim Basinger.
I think she's out of the limelight.
Yeah. And
it happens.
All the way to the bank. Thank you, Sarah. I know you rarely know what this is or check in. Thank you, Sarah, with a very intimidating $9.99. You talk about Nepo incest, donating to yourself. Thank you, Sarah. So yes, we're doing Lotus Notes with Johnny, which you could definitely be invited down the line. The first one's probably going to be just like this in-house thing. I don't know if it's going to be a mixed bag. I'm not sure what the topic is, but it's a Howard Stern kind of callback show called Lotus Notes, which I'm incessantly proud of. That name alone.
I know you do like that. Well, they used that.
They use that. I know. It's their in-house email system.
You know, there's one actor who will not go on Howard Stern and is very adamant about it.
DiCaprio.
Yep.
Nicholson. Yeah, I know. Has DiCaprio ever brought Howard up? He sat next to him in a fucking Knicks game once, which is bizarre. And he's friends with all his friends. He's friends with Jonah Hill, and so there's a lot of. But yeah, I could see There's no way.
I could
Derek
see.
Jeter and DiCaprio.
I'm sure Howard said something in the 90s or long ago about, denigrating DiCaprio. And I could just picture his ego. Okay, I'm not Leonardo DiCaprio, but if I was, I could just see him going, I'm never going to do that.
Never doing that show. He doesn't do anything. I mean, you don't see him on.
He did Oprah. He did Oprah.
Yeah.
He did Oprah.
That's how charmed a life he has. He doesn't even have to dance on the talk shows. That's how you know someone's good, right? I mean, like, you don't even have to do press. That's how charmed a life he has.
Way to pull out, show me.
Thank you.
Because I was showing you what I thought was the best angle to see the glint of the gun under my coat. Because you want the scene to work, the shot to work. So where the holster's here, if the gun is here, my coat comes around, and I held my hand like it was like I was just cupping my hands, like I was just resting.
Okay.
And I showed him in the rehearsal. So when we came back after lunch, we rehearsed for the camera, and I took the gun. I'm showing him. I'm going to go like this, like this, like this. Cock and turn. Bang! It went off. The first time.
Okay, so it was your.
It was the very first time that we were shooting that shot, that we were rehearsing for that shot.
Okay.
That camera shot.
And you don't know this thing. Did you happen to see? So obviously you guys left from your upper shooting area to go have lunch, or did you eat lunch up there?
No, we always go back to the base camp for lunch.
Okay.
For the stage.
Did the armorers, or did you see the armorers go down?
No.
No.
Nor would I.
Okay.
Well, once they're gone, I'm gone.
Okay.
Do people stay up on set, or does everybody go down?
Well, there are many people who will forego lunch.
Okay.
I take that back, not many. There are some who will forego lunch because they have work to do.
Okay.
Some will hold them a plate. Some will bring their own lunch.
Sarah loves her lunch.
Many people, they make sacrifices because of their pride for their department.
Mm-hmm.
They may sit there and say, I think I need to paint that wall and touch up that wall.
Alex saying he doesn't want to spend any more time with armor than he absolutely has.
And very often, a small number of people will stay up top while we drive down from the set to the base camp. The caterer is there in need, but maybe a modest number of people stay up there.
Okay. All right, and then I just want to clarify, really, I know you're drawing something. All right, so when you had pulled out the gun, obviously you were not at the cameraman, but you had identified there were two people there. Can you tell me who those people were?
My recollection is that the operator was there. He's a Steadicam operator.
Okay.
He's a man who, there's either a camera on sticks that's stationary, or there's a man who operates a Steadicam that moves. The camera operator was there behind the camera, and she was to his right.
And who is she? That's the one I'm asking.
Halyna, the cinematographer.
Okay.
The camera director.
Still not dead. Halyna Hutchins is the victim. She was shot. She died. Still don't know she's dead in the moment here live. They still have no idea she's about to be pronounced dead.
And she was right next to the cameraman.
She was to his right, to my left.
And who was behind her?
Joel.
And he is?
The director of the movie.
Okay.
Steak sounds good, Sarah. I'm craving that
Can
now.
you recall who exactly was inside at the time of the incident? Or anyone else?
Dave Halls,
Okay.
the first AD. He's in charge of the crew. The first assistant director is the man who's like the foreman of the set. He's in charge of all the grips, all the crew.
That Dave Halls, Johnny, he testified in the Gutierrez trial. These guys are all in a row. Every name you're going to hear pretty much. And that Dave Halls he was devastated, crestfallen, and I think he's never going to work again from the trauma from this. Yeah, he was in the Gutierrez trial. I remember him.
Cable.
Do you know his name?
Dave Halls.
Okay,
Dave Halls is always there. Halyna, Joel, me, the operator, an assistant camera person, the script supervisor, a woman who sits in the corner in some strategic position to take notes on all the action of the take so you can match. If one day you're doing a scene, you sit there and go, what is your first name?
Samantha.
So they're like, Samantha, it's really important that you and I get together and talk about that case. You drank, when did you? She makes notes, so we match every take. That's called continuity. That woman who does continuity, she's always there watching. She was in the room.
Okay.
She's an older woman, like in her 60s, maybe with you know, that colored blonde hair, maybe.
He's from Michigan,
she,
Melvin.
I forget her name, but she.
Like you are. Yeah, Johnny's from Michigan. That's the Tigers hat. You're right. He
This is
certainly
Michigan right here. Or wait,
Yep.
this is Michigan. Wait, this is Michigan. I'm from like right here, outside of Detroit, Beverly Hills, Michigan.
And you've been in LA for 30 years, huh?
Yeah, I moved out here in '92. I was 20, and I couldn't even get into a bar. I couldn't even get a bar legally.
That's ballsy. That's really ballsy.
I didn't know anybody either.
Young and stupid, but it worked out. You have a nice little career going, I think.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
So there's a group of people that are always there for every shot, even if you're in a kind of a cramped interior. This set of this church is not large, so then the rest of the crew's outside.
Yeah, the shooting took place in a abandoned church. So if you've seen the footage of this, he shoots Halyna Hutchins in the church, ironically, and there's a scene, and that comes up over and over again.
That side was a limited number of people, maybe 8, 9. I don't remember. But I know that every time they do a shot, those people are always on the set. Camera, assistant camera, cinematographer, director, first AD, script.
So I'm going to leave it here. It's a cliffhanger because after we come back next week to resume this, he is told Halyna Hutchins dies while he's being interrogated, and he does his best. This is his best outside. It's very heavy, and I still haven't experienced it live, so I'm looking. Well, not yeah, you know what I mean. Johnny, I want to thank you.
A part two.
This is part 3.
Part 2 is on the horizon.
Yes, Johnny, I want to thank you incessantly for you talk about last second. Sent you this. Your insider fourth wall Hollywood prowess could not be more embraced here. I love every bit.
Bro,
every bit of
you are a mensch. You're a great guy. I love your fascination with Johnny Depp.
And Hollywood and the industry.
Yeah, inclusion. If you come out to LA, I will take you to the shooting location, the Peterson Museum, and I can show you that. And then I'm going to take you up to a place called Outpost, and it's literally you can see 360 degrees around LA. If you go up to Outpost in Mulholland, you can look it up. I want you to go there if I don't get to take you. And I do again. Thank you for the last minute invitation. It was my pleasure to be here.
It just popped in my brain. Like, how could you not be? All your like I said, decades of Hollywood prowess and experience comes into this. I just somehow, you're tailor-made for this shit.
Promise me this: if you guys ever do a reading of the Amber Heard and
we're going back to yes, we're going to be going.
If you ever do, you got to let me be a reader because you guys were clunky and you were like, should we bring Johnny in here? And Sarah was like, nah, let's just keep going. And I get it. It was like last minute, but I can be the glue for that reader. This is what I do.
We definitely
I've
need
been to plenty of table reads and
definitely.
And I can be multiple characters. You could be Johnny and Amber can be. Or excuse me, Sarah can be Amber, and all those roles are there. But the little in between, the judge and all those things, I'll keep it moving. This is what I do. Don't worry, I got this. So consider me there.
Sarah was fantastic as Tracy Jacobs.
You guys were both good, but you could have been better if you had somebody to read the in between, like the judge and like the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You needed somebody to play multiple characters to keep it moving and fresh. So consider me in if you want me. But I don't want to.
I love how you casted yourself in that. I love how you casted yourself in that. You got to do that. You got to do that in your next audition. You got to run in there and just cast yourself and everything. That's phenomenal.
I mean, I think I can bring something to the table.
I know you can. No, absolutely, totally. We're gonna go back. We're gonna do a reading very soon. I actually really enjoy doing it. We left some of them just like dangling on like a part 2 and 3. I remember.
Right.
Whitney Hurd was one of them. Whitney Hurd's thing, and we did a second Tracy Jacobs, which was still not that she did another deposition, which people don't know the unsealed files or documents that were from the Depp case, which the courts released. Thank you, Lauren Marie, and thank you. You did a great. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Sunflower Dragon, and everyone. Melvin, thank you, G Canada, for in the beginning, sir, and you were phenomenal as well. Again, Lotus Notes debuts, the Deppening at Gmail, says Sarah. If you want to, that's Johnny. Johnny calls all the time. He was always giving gigs to David for composing gigs. via that email. The Deppening.
David, if you want to give Arm your email, David, I will send you stuff, castings that you might like. If you don't, just ignore them if you don't like them, but maybe 1 or 2 a month comes along for a composer, or some kind of violinist, or some kind of musician that might be up your alley. It might be not enough money. It might be enough money. I don't know.
Thank you, Melvin. Yes, exactly. Lotus Notes debuts July 5th at 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 Eastern. Bon Jovial, myself, and I believe Sarah is going to do maybe the first one. I'm not sure of that 100%. And then we'll rotate people in as we go. It's like a Radio Gunk spinoff, Booker to Jump Street kind of thing, and a Deppening Gunk affiliated spinoff with Bon Jovial, David. Johnny's going to be worked in. Sarah she will not be on the first one. Okay, Sarah. Well, everyone loves you. They want to hear your Liz Cheney-dom on there, but okay, whenever you feel like it. Sarah is making herself very rarefied now, so you appreciate her more when she does pop in with that sassy, nonplussed attitude. So this is another one. Sarah wants me to read this, everyone. If you can,
Dearest Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo, or the QR code, or the Super Chats, or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Kylo. It is nice seeing Johnny and Johnny again. You're right. It is. He did a great job.
I love this show. This is my favorite show. Man.
Yeah, it's all show business. Obviously it's Depp related, but I mean, we spin off into different show business, which I have no problem doing. I mean, it's not like I only know Depp, and I'm only gonna. If you ask me anything, we're gonna roll with it. Like this is an interesting. This one was really interesting. We went all over the place, but stayed on topic. I might say.
We did.
Yeah.
And a part 2 is on the horizon. Part 2 is on the horizon.
We got it. This is amazing. This deposition is amazing. It's amazing. So 17 minutes, Johnny. Alec incriminates himself in this video. 17 minutes.
You heard
Camille Vasquez.
You heard it here.
Obsessed with Camille Vasquez. Sarah will be the Elaine Bredehoft. Yes. Get fucked by Elon Musk. Get fucked by James Franco and Elon Musk. Johnny M is awesome. I agree with that, Kylo. Frank the Tank.
Thank you, Kylo.
I broke character on that. You're right, Frank. Speaking of characters, God damn it. Thank you, Mark Harris, for you sending in your video. That was phenomenal. Alec Baldwin, you thought you had it bad just in this. When Mark Harris is done with you, forget
it. Dear Alec Baldwin, you're disgraceful. Can't you see? The number one enemy of society. First your 30 Rock show, then your nightly MSNBC show, but most of all, you're hilarious. You're insecure, Alec. You really need a doctor. For your behind, maybe a proctor. Count your money and your blessings, too.
Howdy.
Like and subscribe, everyone. Like and subscribe. Please, I'm begging you.
Moo! 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 I'm a loser! Eh?
Sit down. Stay where you are. For the first time, I choose to walk out on you.
21 Jump.